Open tabs, margin notes, highlighter, bleed through quotes, research mind, steady eye, patterns only she can note. I-90 fog, whispering under wheels, skyline, afterglow, 2 states, packed rooms, quiet minds that know, no sign needed out front. They circle to her voice, questions rise before she starts, curiosity by choice. She pivots mid-lecture, checks who's leaning in close. Say the part you skip out loud, that's where the learning goes. Heads home with the speakers up, Biggie in the background, mind still mapping theories while the city slows down. She teaches the why behind the crime, the hurt behind the face, Philly in her backbone, psychology in her grace. Don't let the hype fool you, she stands 10 stories tall. She don't just teach the lesson, she teaches you through it all. Late nights with case files open, notes in the margin glow. She's showing you your story's roots, so you can choose where to go. Biggie quotes inside the slides, right next to coping skills. Spread love between the lines of how a nervous system feels. Long days, quiet grit, humor in the punchlines. You are more than this moment, written 10 times, old assessments in a folder, ink dust on the sleeve. She can map anxious attachment before you know you grieve. 1 foot in Jersey lecture halls, 1 on the Philly street. Home is where she learned to fight, classes where we don't repeat. Grown kids texting check-ins, pride she doesn't post. She teaches minds all day, then goes in mother's most. Case files, true crime, mind behind the scenes. She doesn't tell you what they did, she shows you what it means. Your story is not your diagnosis. You are allowed to rewrite it.
Hi guys. Hi everyone. I'm back. Hopefully you could hear me. Let me see who's here with us. Let's see, you guys. We have the Miss Harlot, yay. We have Miss Casey in blue. We have Wendy. Oh, Wendy. Oh no, Harlot. I almost just accidentally blocked you. I went to go scroll up. Did you ever do that? You scroll or something and you accidentally click on someone and that thing pops up? That just happened. Don't worry, I X'd out of it. Hi, Fancy Nancy. Casey's here. Tony. Who else do we have here? Birdie's here. Hi, Birdie. Wendy. Jeepsy Jody. Hello to you. I said Tony, right? Tony and Birdie. I did say hi to you. Wendy, I said hi, but just to get treat my girlfriends here. Nice. Who else is here? Oh, nice. I'm going to tell Cuffy you were here, just in case. I feel like she knows, but just in case. I live if you up. How about that? That's what I just said. If not, no big deal. Cuffy's been very busy these days. Hi, wise woman. How you doing? Hi, queen. Yes. Can you guys hear me okay? You guys, I haven't been on my computer since Monday morning or Sunday night. It's been a minute. I went with my best friend. I took my best friend down the shore. Ooh. And her whole family all came after, so that's good. They're still there. I was like, I'm going home. I got my tan. I got to hang out with my bestie, and now I'm going home. So I left. And instead of going home, she stayed. Her husband came. Her older daughter came. It was good. So my mom's loving it right now. T. Marie's here. Hey, T. Marie. Wise woman, wise woman. Oh my God, a wise woman. Did you guys hear any of the new Gypsy Rose prison calls? There's so much news, I can't even tell you. Harlot, thank you. I got a happy poop. What a way to start a live. Thank you, Harlot. I appreciate you. Yeah, you guys. Thank you. I appreciate that, Wendy. I needed it. there were a few times, so as soon as we got there, you guys, so we got there late Monday night, and I'm like, okay, I'm so tired. I just go to chill, and my best friend realizes she has her mother's phone. What? So I had to drive halfway home to meet her husband. Crazy. But anyway, I was gonna go live, like, on our car ride, but then I was like, you know what? I didn't know if, like, I don't know. She was, like, getting nervous. I'm like, what are you nervous about? So, we'll see what happened. No, you didn't hear what happened with her? Oh my God, Tony heard them. Oh my God, her and Ryan talking dirty to each other. Ew, I can't. Stop. I can't, Birdie. I'm gonna die. There's quite a few good ones, and I'm like, I'm recording the one, like, some of them, and I'm gonna put them, we're gonna see, you guys, we're gonna cover that. We have to. She literally, I found one where she talks about, her and her stepmom are talking about, you know, maybe being a psychopath. Oh, you have no idea. There's so many good ones. Hi, Case. You're not sure if you want to hear it. Oh my God, a wise woman. Oh my God. You watched it on AG Tactical. I didn't realize he was doing it yet. It's probably hysterical over there. I'll have to go check it out. No bueno. That's so funny. Oh, but Fancy Nancy. There's some good ones. Not good ones. That's not the word I'm looking for. Good ones as it relates to looking at her psychology. You know what I mean? Oh, truth? That is, like, prudish of you. Let me put it that way. Okay? I can't even... She talks to Ryan at one point. He's, like, at work, where he was a teacher with... the whole thing. He's telling the little boy to go sit there. Like, oh, it's too much. So, I'll go over some of them eventually, but I won't go over the dirty ones. Don't worry, because nobody needs to be traumatized. Anyway, look what else I got. So, you guys, oh my God. Anyway, I've been working hard, and I saw this today and was like, oh my God. And then I went to go tell DT, and I realized he was on live, and I was like, oh my God. So I watched the live with Mr. Goncalves, who was, that was a great live, DT, if you ever hear this. And yeah. Oh yes, Tony, Ryan had some strange ideas too, you guys. We have to hear some of them. You know what I think that would be good for, maybe? Yes, Birdie. That would be good for maybe Just Jamie channel. Because OMG, I could talk some crap on that as, like, my regular person. Even the Lindsay Clancy trial, of course I've been watching that, like, diligently, and I have a lot to say about that. And I don't know. Of course, I absolutely still think that we have a case of postpartum psychosis. However, when talking about the psychology behind things, there's a lot that I think was going on that I think is helpful. And again, it doesn't change my view of that, but it's something that I would love to talk about just as, like, Jamie, not as Dr. Vona. So I say we do a live over there soon where it's just us. How about we do this, Birdie? It's Friday night. Let's see what happens. Let's go over this, because Mr. Goncalves, one of the last things he said on DT show was that this case needs to be, you know what I mean, over for now. Like, we don't need to be giving him any more attention. Let's move on and help other families and talk about other things. However, I already did my, like, notes and did all of my documentation stuff for this live, so I'm like, maybe we just go over it just this time, because let's be honest, I did cover, I came in towards the tail end of Idaho 4, but I was heavily invested in that case, and I did do, like, a behavior breakdown of Kohberger, which maybe this is, like, my, I don't know, just wait till you guys see. If I had enough time, I would have went back and clipped out literally things that I said in my behavior breakdown and stuff, like down to words that I was like, okay, queen. No, just kidding. Things like, I'm joking, but for real, things like, what was one of the words that I was like, that was literally the word that I used for him, that I said that he was very, oh my God, it's in here. We're going to see it tonight. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I've been saying that from like day one. So I think that's another reason I want to do this. It's just because I want to go over this with you guys. Let's go through it. Let's see what it says. And let's get after it. What do you say? What do you say? All right, let me pull this up so you guys could see it, because I have it in my hand like an old person does. Does anybody else put a 1 in chat if you still print things out? Put a 2 if everything you do. Oh, Harlot says, I don't think Steve would have a problem with my coverage. I appreciate you saying that, because I was like, oh shit, I already did this. Like, I already put this all together. I was like, what do I do? Hi, Sirius. Sirius, you're so lovely. Can somebody see if Cuff You's okay? Cuff You, are you mad at me? I feel like Cuff You's like mad at me or something. What's happening? Where have you been? We love you, Cuff You. Well, I love you dearly, so please. A. Higgins is here. A. Higgins. Just in time. They were just seeing if anybody saw Gypsy Rose's sexting. And just in case, A. Higgins, you weren't traumatized enough in life, you need to, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let's see what you guys are saying. Who was in Drunk Turkey chat? Who was in there? I rarely print anything. Oh yeah, I forgot about my 1s and 2s. So people put 1s and 2s. That's so funny. Pitter patter, let's get at her. Yes. Yes. Hi guys. Yes. Oh, Casey, you're talking about Cuff You was in the chat. I did see her. I even texted a hello to her and stuff. Like, we said hi to each other. I sent her this as soon as I got this. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what's happening. I didn't know what's happening, you guys. Okay. Let me pull this up so you, did you guys see this yet? I'm wondering. I don't know how long ago this came out, but I got, like a notification. I have a notification thing turned on, and it came on. So I looked, and it was like, this just came out. I was like, oh damn. So we're going to go over it. If I could get it to come up. It's right here, and I can see it, but I can't see it for us. So just give me 1 sec. Oh, here we go. I was going to say, please, not today. Not today, not today. All right, it's pulling it up. Let's see, you guys. Hopefully everybody's doing well. I love that we are all here together. I missed you guys. Yes, truth, I was reading your stuff. I sometimes need my info in tangible form. Heidi, you must be in your 40s or 50s like me, Heidi, or 60s. But I mean, like, you must be older than 40 is what I should have said. I think it's us, like, over 40s that like our printed stuff. Or maybe I should speak for myself. I'm not sure. But, you know. All right, come on. Where is it? Open. Oh, here we go. Okay, it's just taking a second. It's opening. It's just taking a second because, you know, it's my computer and it would just be weird if it didn't take a second. Come on. Hi, everybody. Come on in. I see it in the background, you guys, so it's coming up. I don't know why it's taking a second to come up, but it's coming up. Oh, maybe that's what I had to do. All right. How about I cancel that share and I'm going to do it again and we got this. Come on, Jesus, help me out here. It's clicking on it and then clicking off of it. I don't know why. I don't know what's happening. I have it pulled up. Alright. I'm going to stop sharing and try that again because it says I'm sharing, but you guys couldn't see it. I don't know why. So, in the meantime, I have this defense motion that we're going to look at. And here it goes. I think it worked this time. I started to get nervous. Alright, let's give it a second. I'm not going to touch anything. Here it comes. There we go, you guys. It's all about patience and being 10% smarter than whatever it is. Alright, let's see. What's the best way for me to be? Let's see. No, not like that. I kind of want you guys to see this as big as possible. Here, let's just put me in a corner. I don't want to take up any room. What's happening? Here, I'm just going to keep you the way I was. We're just going to leave it like that, and then I'll make it bigger over here so you guys can see it bigger. How big can we go? Usually we could go to 150. Let's try 150. Alright, you guys, let's see. This should work. Alright, here we go. So, I have my little notes I'm going to pull up. And I'm going to put this right here. And, okay, so this is it, you guys. I'm so glad I was able to get it up because I got nervous for a second. Let's be honest. I was like, what's happening? Here we go. Alright. I think I'm good now. I think I got this. Okay. Let's start anew. How's everybody, not start anew. How's everybody holding up over there? Hopefully you guys are good. Okay, now I'm all ready to go. I'm nice and energized. I actually am so glad that I got to have a little bit of downtime. I feel like I was able to, you know, recharge a little bit. So I feel like I'm a little bit more there, if that, you know, is helpful at all. But also, I wanted to tell you guys, I got the weirdest thing from YouTube that I had to acknowledge and accept. It was starting February. People are, wait till you see, you guys, the different, oh, why did that get smaller? Sorry about that. The different creators are going to start bitching about it, I promise. But we got this thing, and it was like, it said that YouTube is going to start taking 45% of our stuff. I was like, that is just unbelievable. But anyway, so you guys might be hearing that from other people. Okay, let's look over this. So I found this filing that it's not a new filing, you guys. So this isn't new. It's new to us because we haven't seen it. At least I haven't seen it yet. But it was buried inside the 7-page motion here that I printed out. There was references to a comprehensive neuropsychological evaluation. So an autism diagnosis, specific social and developmental characteristics, obsessive-compulsive behaviors dating back to childhood, and an eating disorder, which I have an entire video that I did stating that I believed he had an alleged eating disorder. And I even went over the type of eating disorder, and we got to see that, I mean, I was spot on with that too. And I'm not saying that again to toot my own horn. I'm saying this because I think that it's good to show that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to certain things. I'm not good at everything. There's many things that I'm not good at. Let's just be honest, like many things. But when it comes to psychology and like teaching psychology and understanding psychology and all those things, I feel like I've spent a million years, you know what I mean? Learning it, training, studying, reading, research, doing my own research, all of the things. So I think that this is good validation for anyone that is looking at, for example, my thoughts on other cases. Doesn't mean I'm always going to be right. No, not at all. I wouldn't want to always be right. If I was always right, then that really wouldn't be human, right? So I'm a human being. I could be wrong. We're going to talk about autism here a little bit. Let's be honest. I kind of called that, like, not that it was bullshit, but I felt rigidity. That's the word I was looking for earlier. I felt like his rigidity, that a lot of that came from other means. But we're going to get into that tonight. We're going to see what happens. The legal argument is interesting, is just as interesting to me as the psychology. So you're going to see that too. It pretty much is. The defense would ask this court to make sure that characteristics characteristics that were associated, that's the word I was looking for, with a disability could not be turned around and used against him to punish him more severely. What? So let me say that again. The defense wanted to make sure that the prosecution couldn't use, that they couldn't use the characteristics associated with a disability. So notice the wording there. Characteristics associated with a disability. They didn't want that to be turned around and used as a reason to punish him more severely. I was like, huh? Like, if anything, wouldn't something like, the different disorders that they name be mitigating factors? And I'm not saying that they are. I'm saying, I'm not saying that they should be, but I'm saying if you're the defense attorney here, I would think that, if anything, it would help explain behavior more than be used to punish you more severely. I didn't know what that was about. I thought that was crazy. But tonight, I don't want to do any internet diagnoses. We all know I have to make that clear. I don't want to read any facial expressions, things like that. I have court filings here, so we have actual documentation. And I want to separate three things during this live. So one, what the motion says, and what they found. And then two, what the defense wanted the judge to do with the information. And then three, what psychology does and doesn't allow us to infer from it. So, and that's literally what I do when I read research and stuff like that. So I separate it into these different categories. And that last one's important. What can we infer from this information? So there's one phrase in the document that I think is going to get people talking. And in my opinion, limited perspective taking is a term used in here. Remember the other day with insight, lack of insight, I was like, oh my God. That's how when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh. So that stuck out to me. So again, limited perspective taking. It sounds simple, but it's not. It raises questions about social cognition, empathy, or the, lack thereof, reciprocity, and how easy the public can turn a clinical description into a moral judgment. So we'll talk about that for, a few minutes too. Okay. So what this document is, let's talk about that first, because we said we're going to separate it into the three parts. I'm going to show you the very first page. Let me go back to page 1 for you guys. Okay, and actually I should probably zoom out a tiny bit, if it lets me. Here we go. That way you guys can see it a little bit more. Okay, there we, oh wait, you can only see, oh no, you could see it. I'm like, it looked like you could only see half of it on my end, but you guys could see it. Okay, so this isn't brand new, like I was saying before. This is a motion in limine, which is basically a pretrial request that asks the judge to decide how certain evidence can or cannot be used before it reaches the jury. So here, the defense wanted the court to stop the state from using Kohberger's autism diagnosis or characteristics of his autism as aggravating evidence. That, we need to talk about that. So the defense is not saying that the autism means he could not be responsible. That's not what they were arguing here in this motion. In this motion, the defense was saying, if autism-related characteristics are introduced, do not let the state convert those same characteristics into reasons to make him look more dangerous or cold or more heinous, or ultimately more deserving of death. That's what they didn't want to happen. So the motion frames this as a constitutional issue under the 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendments alongside Idaho's constitutional protections. So most of the filing, you guys, then focuses on capital sentencing law, which is mitigation has to be allowed to function as just that, right? Mitigation. So let's look real quick. Let's go to page 3. Well, here you can see, so it says, well, let's read a tiny bit of this so you guys could see what it is here. So in this motion, we get the part that made me sit up straight here, you guys. So the motion says that Kohberger has a diagnosis of autism and displays characteristics consistent with autism. It says that Dr. Rachel Orr, who has their doctorate in psychology, conducted a comprehensive neuropsychological evaluation and found that he continued to exhibit the core diagnostic features of autism spectrum disorder with significant impact on daily life. That's important. If you guys have been following me for however long, you know that when we talk about the different DSM diagnoses, that there has to be three main criteria. So the time duration, and all of the different disorders are different. So for one, for example, it has to be occurring for 6 months or longer. Another one might be 2 weeks or longer. So time duration, the symptoms, you have to have so many. So for one, it might be 8 out of the 10. Another one, it might be 4 out of the 8, or whatever the case may be. So do you have the symptoms for the time duration? And the biggest one, does it interfere with at least 2 areas of daily functioning? Why not 1 area of daily functioning? Because if it were just 1 area, it might be that thing specifically. So just let's say the only time you get these anxiety symptoms is when you're at school, and that's it. That they don't happen at home, they don't happen at soccer, they don't happen at your friend's house, not at the mall, none of the things, just when you're at school. If that was the only place, then we could say, well, let's remove school, and there you go, the problem will be over. If it's interfering with school and soccer, school, soccer, and home, school and home, you know what I mean? So it has to interfere with at least 2 areas of daily functioning. That was interesting here because they say in this motion that it had a significant impact on daily functioning. So this is the defense representing to the court that a qualified evaluator completed a comprehensive neuropsychological assessment and reached this conclusion. But this is also very important. We don't have the entire OR report in the 7 pages that we have here. So these 7 pages are given to us. They've been unredacted, but we don't have the entire report. So we have the defense's summary of the selected quotations from the report. And why is that important? Because I'm sure if you're a good defense attorney, you're picking out the specific things, right, that are important to your argument, and there may be other things that we don't see, and I don't know that to be true because we don't have it, but there could be other things that maybe we don't know that we have to be open-minded about. Let me just say hi real quick. Jenny's here. I'm just trying to see who's here since I last looked. T. Marie's here. Hey, T. Marie. Hey, Jenny. Hey, J-Lo. How you guys doing? Okay, so the characteristics that are named in the motion. All right, so let's look at some of these. Do you guys want me to read? I don't know if I read this or if you want me to just, like, my notes cover what's in it. I could put, after this, I could put a link to the actual document in the description so that if anybody wants access to it or if you want to read the whole thing on your own, you can feel free to do so. But let's go over some of the characteristics.
Thank you.
Shut up. Stop it, Jenny. Jenny, welcome to the Minds Behind True Crime with Dr. Bona, where we put the fun in dysfunctional. I hope that you'll love it here. We're going to love having you here, so thank you so much for joining us. You have no idea how much that means to me. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a rough week for you, J-Lo. I'm so sorry. You're still recovering day by day. Surgery Monday is postponed. Oh no, we're going to keep you in our prayers. Everybody, keep J-Lo in your prayers, please. Aw, I'm sorry to hear that. We're all thinking of you. I'm sorry. We're all thinking of you. We hope you feel better. It's always, I'm sorry you're in the hospital. That sucks. Well, hopefully you could listen to this and this doesn't drive you to go back to the hospital, because let me tell you something, you guys. I'm just joking, Jayla. But let's look at some of the characteristics named in the motion. And Jayla, make sure you're sitting down, because they are a little bit like, huh? All right, ready? So there's social challenges, which I don't think anybody should be shocked about, right? Perseveration. There's perseveration's a big one, you guys. Everything, if you ask my daughters in life, like one of my biggest words of advice to them, or one of the things that I say most often to them, is persevere, bitch. And I say that, my kids are in their 20s, 18, they're old enough, they're adults. I'll be like, persevere, bitch. And when I'm feeling whatever, I let them, like, we do it to make each other laugh. You know, like when you're having a serious moment and you're not completely like, you're not like yet, but you're starting to get a little upset and somebody just throws something out there at you and you're like, oh my God, stop. That's what that is. So we'll say to like, persevere, bitch, you got this. And it'll like snap us out of it. So the fact that they put the persevere thing on here, I was like, oh my God, you guys, I definitely am autistic. I know I am. It's undiagnosed, but I'm making, not that there's anything to make light of here, but this isn't quite the victim. So I feel like we can have a different snarkiness about us because he's not a victim. Okay. So lack or limitation of reciprocity is the next one. Reciprocity is going both ways. So giving back, right? So reciprocal. There goes the word. That's the word I'm looking for. Also, limited perspective taking, which again I said was one of the biggest things that jumped out to me. You have to remember the other night when we were talking about concrete and formal operational thinking. If you weren't on the live last time, you didn't have to be to understand this. But if you were, and you remember what we were talking about, if you have the ability to perspective take, you probably are a formal operational thinker, because you would have to. Do you guys remember when I gave you a hypothetical? I said give a hypothetical situation and see if somebody can put themselves in that situation and answer the question type thing. So in order to perspective take, if you think about it, you have to be able to do just that. So if you guys remember when I said give somebody a hypothetical that's offensive to their thought process to see if they could put themselves in the situation just to answer the hypothetical. So for example, I think the example I gave was your friend just had a baby and you're like, oh, she's beautiful. Like when she's 21, if she, tells you she wants to have sex for money, like what would you say? Like just to like, again, you want to do something that's not like disrespectful, you know what I mean? But like, people get paid for sex. It is what it is. But ask your friend, like if your kid wants to do that someday, what are you going to say to them? Like what? And if they can't put themselves there, if they're like, that's not going to happen. Like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, stop. That's not even going to happen. That won't happen. Like they can't get there. That's, see if there's other things that they could take on other people's perspectives. But a lot of the times, to truly take on the perspective of somebody else, you have to put yourself in their shoes and put yourself in hypothetical situations and be able to do use hypothetical deductive reasoning. So when they say that he had a limited perspective taking, not that I was shocked, but it makes total sense, doesn't it, right? So it makes total sense, and it goes to those lack of social cues and difficulty picking up on social cues. Also, lifelong deficits in social emotional reciprocity, that was another one. So first they talk about a lack or a limitation of reciprocity, but then they talk about lifelong deficits in social emotional reciprocity. So this is saying specifically socio-emotionally, so how you react emotionally to others and with others, in your environment is a big deal. So if you have an inability to reciprocate the socio-emotional, social engagements, that's a problem. And we see that with all of the red flags that came out of the schools, right? We see it at the university. I mean, how many people said something? So it's not like this is like, oh, really? When? We see clear indications of this. So it was interesting that these were some of the characteristics that were named in the motion. We also had continuing to talk when a conversation would naturally end. That was interesting, right? So again, continuing to talk when a conversation would naturally end. Think about how the awkwardness of that. So think about that person where you're just trying to like leave, you need to go pick up your kid, or like dinner's on or something, and or you just want to go, you're done talking to them, you're over it, and you think you got it all squared up, and the person just starts telling you a story that takes another 25. It's like, wait, what? So we got that going on here. Also, limited sharing of the affect and emotions of others. Wow, you guys. And this is the thing. Well, I'll make that argument in a little bit, because my argument very early on was, is it autism, or could these be characteristics of personality? Disordered personality characteristics. No, I'm not diagnosing anybody here, but we're looking at clear characteristics in somebody that could do this crime. Like, you know what I mean? And he did admit to killing all 4 of the victims, Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Zaina, who we should always keep at the forefront of our thoughts and prayers. Also, so he had an inability to share other people's emotions. What does that mean? So think about somebody telling you something sad that happened, people in chat, talking about something bad going on in their life, things like that, and we're all like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, or oh, we're praying for you, or you have support here, so on and so forth, right? So with that being said, you're feeling the other person's emotion. If you've ever cried when you watch a movie, that's feeling the emotions of somebody. Yeah. So you're able to put yourself there, you're feeling that emotion. It says here that he had a limited ability to share in others' emotions. Also, continuing to talk when a conversation would naturally end. Oh, I just said that one, sorry. Ivy, thank you, Ivy, for my 30 jewels. I appreciate you greatly. We also have over-focusing on a topic or hobby of interest. I know that with ADHD people do this, so that's another thing I want you guys to see. By themselves, these symptoms would be one thing. It's the fact that they're experienced together as a whole that poses the problem here, right? So we have talking about the same topic repeatedly, that was another one. Using complicated vocabulary, which I think is interesting. Thank you so very much, Miss J-Lo. I appreciate you greatly. I really do. So using complicated vocabulary was a big one. Why is this big? Because I've said it from the very beginning, and so many of you, he wanted to be the smartest person in the room. So by using words like reciprocity, instead of just saying like, giving back that somebody might get, like there's so many ways that you could say reciprocity without saying reciprocity, but using these big words on purpose, and words that aren't used in most everyday conversations, was, in my opinion, and all of this is my opinion, just my opinion, in my opinion, he did this because he wanted other people to perceive him as intelligent, as a smart person. So he had an ability to become these different versions of himself, because in my opinion, again, he lacked an identity. And I think that helped him. What's the word I'm looking for? Be like a chameleon, like depending on the situation he was in. But again, not because he was the smartest person in the room. He did this because he wanted us to perceive him as the smartest person in the room. That's different. Then we have, at times, seeming self-absorbed. And then, so, let me see what I said. Okay, so you guys, when we read that list, right, think about how differently the same behavior could be interpreted if we didn't know the clinical context. So, doesn't pick up on social cues, becomes creepy, uses complicated vocabulary, becomes arrogant, keeps talking about the same topic, becomes obsessive, seems self-absorbed, becomes narcissistic, limited sharing of emotion, becomes cold, remorseless, antisocial, right? That is the danger of behavioral interpretation without context. So we observe a behavior, like I was just saying, one behavior, then we leap from the behavior to the person's motive, personality, or mortality. Psychology doesn't give us permission to make that leap automatically, right? So let's see, on page 2 here, there's a section here that I really want to slow down on because I can already hear the translation here, right? Limited perspective taking equals no empathy. That would be like too crude. But let's take it step by step. Perspective taking is generally about representing another person's point of view, understanding what another person may know, believe, intend, or feel. Empathy is broader and can involve both cognitive and emotional processes. A person can have difficulty inferring another person's internal state and still have emotional concern. Conversely, a person can understand exactly what someone else feels and not care. Those are different psychological processes, you guys, right? So when this motion says that Dr. Orr found limited perspective taking and limited sharing of affect or emotions of others, those are different phrases, but they're not, they're not like a direct thing to be able to say, oh, you have psychopathy, or you have no empathy, or no conscious. The motion itself doesn't make those claims. So that's why it's important. Like I need to see more of the report. But again, remember, I've been questioning from day one. Are we seeing personality characteristics or, signs of other disorder? So also here, remember that perspective taking doesn't equal morality. So this is where Kohberger becomes really useful as a teaching example. Courtroom behavior is usually easy to overread. A defendant may appear flat, rigid is a big one here, right? Flat, rigid, overly formal, overly verbal, socially awkward, and emotionally hard to read. That appearance alone, though, doesn't tell us why they are that way. So if we already believe someone's dangerous, confirmation bias can do the rest. Every natural expression becomes cold. Every awkward interaction becomes creepy. Every unusual word choice becomes calculated. The observable behavior stays the same, though. The story we attach to it changes. So that doesn't mean that behavior is meaningless. It means that interpretation requires evidence. And that's what I'm here for, you guys. That's what I'm here to do. So this paragraph over here where, let's see, which paragraph do I have here? Motion 2. Okay, here we go, right here. So wording here matters. The motion says here that autism is accompanied by obsessive compulsiveness and an eating disorder. Then it describes childhood compulsions involving concerns about getting things in his eyes, hand washing, and other germ avoidant behaviors. Notice what I'm not going to say here. I'm not going to tell you that this motion independently proves a formal diagnosis of OCD, right? The wording here is obsessive compulsiveness and compulsions. Remember what I said before. The document doesn't give us a full diagnostic reading that we need to determine whether those behaviors met the full criteria for obsessive compulsive disorder. But don't forget, there's also obsessive compulsive personality, which is a little bit different in that the characteristics are things like rigidity, stuff like that. And again, this motion just validated for me that I've been spot on about Kohberger since the moment I've laid eyes on him. I don't know what it is about him. I feel like he thinks he's so complicated, but so do many. I mean, if you look at somebody who has narcissistic behaviors, and again, I'm not diagnosing that, but when you look at that, right, I mean, it is what it is. I think somebody that's narcissistic, you guys, everybody in here has dealt with a narcissist at some point. What I mean is, they think that they're getting over, like they think that we don't see right through them. And you know what I'm saying by that? You guys know what I mean by that? What are you guys saying? It sounds like psychopathic tendencies to me. I'm so glad you could say it, Truth, because I can't. And I want to, but I can't. I'm more interested in an accurate representation of autistic people and how those behaviors are specific to that particular group of people, which a wise woman is why I think that someone like you that's interested in that should be interested in this, right? Because are they using autistic characteristics as autistic disorder and trying to pass that on to Kohberger? Or I want to know, did they do any neurological testing? So let's find out. So here, traits, symptoms, and diagnoses are not the same thing as we've talked about before. So what's especially relevant here psychologically is the developmental history. The findings say that these behaviors were present since childhood. For neurodevelopmental formulation, childhood history matters because autism is not something that begins the first time in adulthood. So, however, there are many adults who have never been diagnosed with autism that have an autistic diagnosis. So we do need to remember that. Those of us who are a little bit older, you might have, you could have autistic characteristics. So a wise woman thinks he is autistic. Simply investigating says, I think the tests were manipulated. This is the thing. I think the test could very well have been manipulated, and I don't know. Let's see. A wise woman says that testing says formal diagnosis, or did I misunderstand that? A wise woman, I'm so glad you said that. This is the thing. I don't know if you're following the Clancy trial, but if you are, it would be really easy to describe this. So think about in the Clancy trial, and if you're not, what I'm about to say should still make sense. There's a bunch of different psychiatrists that are testifying, and they don't all have the same diagnosis for Lindsay Clancy, okay? There's a nurse practitioner, there's a couple psychiatrists. I mean, there's multiple doctors, and they did not all come up with the same diagnoses. And the prosecutor and the defense asked about it. One of them asked about it, I don't remember which one, but they asked about that. I think it was a prosecution, and she asked about, is this your diagnosis? Yes. If you would have gotten a prior diagnosis from another doctor type thing, would that have made a difference? No. So I think the important part is this. Because they're a doctor, and even if you have a PsyD, so this person here is not a medical doctor that diagnosed Kohberger with autism. It was somebody with their PsyD, which I respect highly. They have a doctorate degree like I do. So we have an academic type doctorate where we do research as opposed to, or clinical work, stuff like that. But to get that doctorate, they did some sort of research, at least in almost every program, So that would be the difference here. So because it's not a medical doctor, I'm not sure if they had access to, the few neurological assessments that can be done to properly diagnose autism. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Hi, Drunk Turkey. That was an awesome show tonight. Everyone loved it. And I was telling everybody, I was like, oh no, I had to get this live over with because I felt guilty at the end because Steve was like, let's move on from this case. And I was like, I already wrote my script for tonight, so hopefully he'll forgive me that I'm just going over this. Also because guess what, Daniel? I was spot on about Kohberger. Not that you're surprised, I'm sure, because you were too, but spot on, cuz. Spot on. So let's finish this up, and we're almost done here. I just want to go over this, and Daniel, I'm sure you have this, but if not, just let me know and I'll send this to you. Also, remember, I'm not going to, the document, doesn't give us the full diagnostic reasoning needed to determine whether these behaviors met that full criteria. What's especially relevant psychologically is the developmental history here, you guys. Remember I said that because it was in childhood, that would be important. So and also with the PsyD, that person does have credentials to diagnose disorder. So I did want to say that. They don't diagnose, they don't treat with medication. That would be a psychiatrist. But somebody with a doctorate in psychology could make a diagnosis. I just don't know what testing was done. There's different testing, neurological testing that could be done for an autism diagnosis that you wouldn't use for, let's say, narcissistic personality disorder or something else type thing. There's different assessments depending on what it is that you're looking at. So that to me is important. But this motion gives us selected developmental information, but doesn't give us the full history. But we do know, if anybody followed anything that I've covered before about his behavioral analyses, and I went back to his childhood, we know that he dealt with an eating disorder, or an alleged one, which we now know to be true because he was diagnosed with an eating disorder again here. So, and he was also diagnosed, remember, ARFID, that's the eating disorder that he has. But let's go over the autism real quick. So on page 5, let me go to page 5. And again, I will link this in my description right after, and you guys could go and look at this if you haven't seen it already. All right, page 5. All right, so this autism here, the diagnosis, it doesn't explain for murder. So let's get that right out of the way. It doesn't establish motive either. It doesn't establish intent. It doesn't make autistic people inherently violent or dangerous. Whether we're talking about autism or any other psychological type disorder, you are more likely to be the victim of a crime than to be the perpetrator of a crime. So I do want to make that very clear before we go further. Just because somebody has a diagnosis of autism does not make them inherently dangerous at all. So we use the diagnostic information to understand aspects of social communication, rigidity, repetitive behavior, sensory experience, developmental history, or functioning. That's different from using the diagnosis as an explanation for homicide. So I will not be doing that. This is actually consistent with the defense's own core complaint in the motion. They're arguing that the state should not take disability-related characteristics and convert them into aggravating evidence. For example, using those traits to imply future dangerousness or to make the crime seem more heinous. The minute we start taking as if autism itself makes somebody more likely to kill, we've left careful psychology and wandered into an area that I don't want to be in. So please make sure that everyone knows that you are more likely to be the victim of a crime than a perpetrator when you have autism. The next thing I want to talk about real quick is mitigation. So this is on page, so this is around 4 and 5 too. So I'm going to leave it here for 1 second and you guys can look over it as I read off my notes, and again I will link it. So let's get into the defense's filing this. So the capital litigation mitigation is evidence offered as a reason for the sentence to be less than death. So here, because the death penalty was on the table, they, you have these psych evaluations and things like that to see if there's anything that can, say to the judge that because of autism or because of this, whatever the circumstances are, that this should play into your decision on whether this person should receive that ultimate punishment, or do some of these things explain, even things like abuse and trauma, they'll often be brought into, so not into the guilt or innocence phase, but into the sentencing phase. So, you're guilty or innocent, but if you're found guilty, once you get into the sentencing, you could then bring up mitigating factors to help the judge or the jury or whoever comes up with that decision, to bring that into consideration before making that final decision, right? So we're not saying that any of this made him do it. In the sentencing context, it asks the sentencer to consider the individual person and whether some aspect of character, history, disability, mental health, or circumstance supports a punishment less than death. So the defense's complaint is essentially this, you guys. I read the whole thing, and this is what I've boiled it down to. Their complaint is, you cannot tell the jurors, consider autism as mitigation, and then let the prosecution point to the very same autism-associated traits and say, actually, those are the reasons he's more dangerous than, and therefore deserves death. So they're just saying that, I would consider this motion, honestly, a double-edged sword here. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So a characteristic can be relevant in more than one direction psychologically, but the defense argues that capital sentencing law puts constitutional limits on turning mitigating mental health evidence into an aggravator. Again, in all the court cases that I've ever followed, I've never seen them put a disability, a diagnosis. I've never seen, has anybody ever seen this where they've used it to be like, we definitely need to give the ultimate sentence now, like they have? I've never even seen that. So the fact that Anne felt the need to make a motion, you know what I mean, before trial on this, we've seen her make a lot of motions that were a bit much. Hey, are you sunny now? How you doing? So one of the strongest lines in the defense argument, you guys, is allowing mental health issues to be treated as aggravators would interfere with the jury's ability to give meaningful effect to the mitigation. So whether the court would have accepted every part of that argument is a legal question. I don't know psychologically, but psychologically, the issue's fascinating to me. The exact same trait can be framed as vulnerability or threat, depending on the story told around it. Think about that. So the same exact thing could be used as a vulnerability or as a threat, depending on how it's worded. It made me think of that saying, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? Isn't that like what this is? That's literally what we're saying here. So this is about framing that narrative around the way that that they wanted him to be perceived. So this next part here on page 5 and 6, let me just go down a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so the motion gets more specific here. So it says that the state should not be allowed to argue that factors related to Kohberger's mental health issues increase future dangerousness, his propensity to kill, or the heinousness of the crime. From a psychological standpoint, you guys, this raises the exact question that we need to be asking. What's the evidence connecting this particular characteristic to this conclusion? Why are we, and guess where I learned that from? Daniel. So we can't just make a claim, you guys. Where's the, what's backing this up? Where's the receipts? Where's the evidence? You need evidence. You can't just state something and have no evidence. So, from a psychology standpoint, sometimes I just want to be like, blah, and just say all the, but if there's not the evidence there, then is it really something that should be said? See what I mean? So thank you, Daniel, for that. So if someone is rigid, for example, does this mean that they're violent? Absolutely not. If someone has difficulty with reciprocity, does it mean that they're more dangerous? No. If someone if someone has social, I couldn't get the word out. If someone's socially awkward, sorry you guys, I couldn't get that out for some reason. Does that mean that they're homicidal? No, of course not. If you want to make a risk claim, then you need an actual risky evidence, not a chain of stereotypes, because that's what all of those things are, just stereotypes. So the defense uses older capital cases to argue that mental illness or disability can't be relatable as aggravation merely because some features of it can be described negatively. Their point is not ignore the diagnosis. Their point is don't punish him for that diagnosis. So that is a little bit different there, right? So this next part here is the mere status argument. The last major section here, which is on page, just the document itself. So the last major section takes an even broader constitutional position, and that's on page 6 and 7. Here we go. So the defense argues that allowing mental health and developmental disabilities to function as aggravators would effectively criminalize Kohberger's status as a disabled person. Did you just hear what I said? That's where I get bothered by the diagnosis that they're giving him. So the fact that the defense, I'll say that again, that they're arguing that allowing mental health and his developmental disabilities to function as aggravators would effectively criminalize Kohberger's status as a disabled person. What the fuck? Right? So they rely on constitutional cases here to back up their claims, and they discuss the principles that a person cannot be punished simply for the status or condition. We all probably agree on that, right? Then they bring the argument back to autism. The defense says he can't be sentenced to death because his status as a person with autism spectrum disorder puts him in a category that cannot be punishable by death, according to the defense in this motion. So that is a legal argument. So I'm not, I'm going to stay in my own lane. It's not a psychological diagnosis or an argument, but it is worth understanding because it explains why the wording of this motion is so forceful. The defense isn't just asking for sensitivity though. So we have to keep that, we got to keep that into perspective. They're framing this as a constitutional boundary on how disability can be used in a death penalty proceeding. Let me say that again, because that's what I sunk it all down to that, you guys. They are we're framing this as a constitutional boundary, in my opinion, on how disability can be used in a DP proceeding. That could be dangerous. I think about a lot of the motions that Ann Taylor did, and the fact that Bryan Kohberger has the gall to say that he had, Travis, where the frig have you been? Travis, I have a question. Because I don't think it means what I think it meant at first, and I don't even think I got the word right. Where is it? Perseverate. Perse. I'm going to write it in chat. Ready? You guys tell me what this is. And again, this is me just not knowing everything, and that's okay. Perseveres. Perseveres. What does that mean? Thank you, a wise woman. Perseverate. Perseverate. Is that it, a wise woman? Perseverate. We're minimizing extreme dangerous individuals, says simply investigating. I'm so glad that you wrote that. I know what you meant, not us personally, but society. I am so glad you said that, because let me tell you something. That's my other problem with this. So, a wise woman, remember when you said earlier about the thing about, this being autism or whatever? My only issue with this is, if for some reason, because let's be honest, you guys, this wasn't filed until 2025. He wasn't a child. So my thing is this: are there many cases where autism gets through? Absolutely. there's probably people in our chat right now that know that they probably have an autistic diagnosis, and maybe they still haven't gotten it yet, right? So I'm not saying that that doesn't happen, but what I am saying is he's had multiple experiences throughout his life where he's gotten in trouble for his lack of respect for somebody's space, for women especially. I mean, how many women have called him creepy? They've literally used the word creepy so much that there were so many people in chats saying, like, we're using this word creepy too much. And I'm like, really? Like, if creepy wasn't made for BK, I don't know what was. Like, come on. And again, this is just my personal opinion. You guys don't have to agree with me on that. But the reason I am so, strong on this is because he, in my opinion, is such a violent offender that I wouldn't want to minimize him as a personality type, if that makes sense. So I'm so glad that you wrote that. Who was it? Simply Investigating. He's a psychopath. It says Simply Investigating. Let me just say something real quick. I have somebody that watches my every word. Hey, Mother Oats, and tries to catch me diagnosing, and I'm not diagnosing online. Now, that doesn't mean that I wasn't, that I don't have the qualifications to. You're just not allowed to diagnose somebody. I couldn't just diagnose you right now because you told me something. I couldn't do that. But this person is trying to catch me do something. Anyway, so when I'm over, I'm hoping that eventually I loosen up a little bit, because I'm not going to keep doing things for one person. However, I don't want one thing to be then used against me in a broader sense, so that's why I'm so careful. I actually 100% as a human being agree with you. Okay? I agree with you. Oh wait, what, Mother Oats? Mother Oats says, wait, let me back up a little bit. Truth Exposed and Simply Investigating, I couldn't agree with you more. So Wendy asked, was he pushing the autism claim to avoid the death penalty? So Wendy, this is the thing. I don't know not because I don't necessarily know, but we don't know because, one, we don't have the entire psych evaluation. We have here the defense's perception of the psych eval, and they back it up by giving us direct quotes from the psych eval. But I would need the whole thing. And not just that, did this person, I don't even know with this ID, if you have the credentials needed to give the neurological testing. Has anybody in here had that testing done for autism? The neurological testing? Travis says, repetitious, not a legal term. I didn't think it was a legal term. Someone with an Ivy League vocabulary. Travis, that's so funny you said that, because that's why I'm saying I don't know everything. So it means repetitious. Huh. So you guys, that meant repetitious, which is, that could be, that's the thing, it could be for many things. A wise woman said yes, but hold on, I went too far and I don't know what you're saying yes to. He knew right from wrong. I agree with you. Truth. Oh, perseverate. I know how to say it. Wait, perseverate. That's it. Okay, there we go. So it means, wise woman wrote what it meant. It means to think about the same thing over and over and over, to torture. Oh my God. You guys, I definitely knew what that meant. I just had a straight A stupid moment. When I just read the definition, that was so straight A stupid to me. But thank you guys. And again, I don't always know everything here just off the top of my head. Sometimes I need help. People with disabilities are exempt from so a wise woman, exactly. So a wise woman says people with disabilities are exempt from the DP. So this is the thing. how bad of an attorney is Ann Taylor that he's saying effective, what is it, Travis? Ineffective counsel or whatever he's saying. I have never watched a case where someone's attorney, even a paid attorney, has been so, and we know that she is, she was paid but by the state, right? But I've never seen an attorney so in defense of their client, like to the point of, do you guys think that she thought he didn't do it? I'm sure she knew, had to know on some level, but I'm wondering if like there was ever that sense, like was she a Kohberger? What do you guys think? So he was pushing autism to avoid the DP. So Wendy, again, I don't know to be sure, but I would hypothesize that there's a strong possibility. And this is the thing. He did have a lot of the symptoms that you would see in autism. However, where a lot of people, this is why I thought this was so important to do this live tonight. A lot of people mix up symptomology to be something different, and it's understandable. It's not as easy as going and getting like, a blood sugar count or your cholesterol drawn or things like that. Like, it's different than that. So a lot of it's science and an art at the same time, which is why the people in the Clancy trial have different diagnoses. Now, I will say that why is it not more of like, what the, you know what I mean? You would think there'd be more outrage if it was that big. The thing is that the way that each one of those professionals chose to treat Lindsay was by using similar pharmacological or whatever you want to call it, pharmaceuticals. They use pharmaceuticals, but they used, SSRIs and an anxiety medication. So they wound up treating it the same way. So, but they did have little, slight variations in diagnosis. Almost all of them had anxiety down somewhere, whether it be postpartum anxiety, just anxiety, depression. A lot of them had that, but there was one that diagnosed her with bipolar disorder, another one that said bipolar traits, but wasn't, I guess, there yet to say about. So my point here is that just because this one doctor, Dr. Orr, came to the conclusion that Kohberger has autism, you could pay somebody else enough to argue that he doesn't, right? So that's what I think is the important point here for all of us true crime folks on YouTube, every single person watching this right now. This is an important live because we have to remember that, you could pay somebody whatever you paid this doctor to put different claims of not just psychopathy, but there's different, because remember, psychopathy isn't in the DSM. It's not in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. It's under what we would call antisocial personality disorder, but it's not listed as like psychopathy. I should bring my DSM down sometime and show you guys, but not that we can't see it online and stuff too. My point there is that I could make a claim for different personality characteristics type thing as well. So you can make the claim here. I mean, he kills 4 people via a knife. Like, I mean, that is, you don't get any more personal than that. And that's so up close, right? And the brutality of this crime was just, like, he could have ran out the door. He didn't have to chase Xana to her room. He could have ran out the side door. He didn't have to go in to begin with, right? But he most certainly, when Xana runs away, he could have just ran out the door, and he didn't, right? So, I mean, all of those things say something to me. And if you want my opinion as somebody who's not being paid for either side, where I think you get more of, in just my opinion, whether it be me or anybody else, if you're not being paid, you don't have, skin in the game type thing, nobody's expecting you to say something. I genuinely ask people to really look at this. If you have, especially if you have any formal training in diagnoses and things like that, and I just ask you not, whether it's in this case or any case, not to just grab onto, just like in the Clancy case, I'm not just grabbing on to postpartum psychosis. I want to hear from the experts. I want to hear from what they said, because so far the prosecution's experts pretty much, in my opinion, are telling me that that's what she has, even though they haven't all said it completely, you know what I mean? Some of them have even said, no, not at all. But then, right, we'll see something to the contrary. So I guess my thing is, even there, although I want to say she had postpartum psychosis, I have the ability to change my mind if during this trial I come to a different conclusion, just like you guys would, right? So same thing here. I don't want to just take one thing. If we were to just take the fact that he had autism and OCD from the gate, just because that's what, somebody signed that has a professional degree, that's the other thing, you guys. Because it's part science and part art, the person that they hired to give this autism diagnosis, as long as they have the ability to back up their claims, so if they can argue and have, resources or references, citations that they could go to, that they could cite to back up their argument, just like with the law, right? Your argument is stronger if you have other similar cases that were argued and won in the same way that you're looking for. So I'm just saying, when we see diagnoses in a different case, try to do some investigating. I don't expect you to know what the real diagnosis under it will be, and I obviously am not going to, be able to look at every case in the world and be like, nope, that wasn't that was. So what I leave you with is, let's use our critical thinking skills as far, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, or like, I didn't mean that as like, let's lose our, I'm being genuine. Like, in these cases, as somebody who was trained this way too, you have to think critically, because if you don't, you could get stuck real quick. So by thinking critically, whether it be with this or quite frankly with anything, guys, before ever just taking someone's word for it, just ask them questions. And you guys in here, I feel like I'm speaking to the people that already know, because you guys pretty much do this. What's up, Kino? Holla. Because you guys are the ones in here that usually do this. But when we think critically, we just ask really good questions. So that's all I ask you to do. Ask really good questions. Where did this diagnosis come from? Just in this case, I'm giving you an example, but you should do this in everything in your life. But for this one, for example, ask questions. Where did this come from? Even if the person has an argument and they have several studies to back it up, I wouldn't just take somebody's word for that either, especially when we're dealing with a case that has such big consequences, right? So I want to ask these questions, even little things like, for example, and this has nothing to do with this case, I'm just giving an example, but when you see a commercial that says 9 out of 10 doctors choose Crest, like, what the fuck? Like, huh? So wait. I have some questions. One, is my dentist one of the 9 out of 10 that chose Crest? Did you really ask 9 out of 10? Or did you ask like 9? Did you ask 1,000,000 and 900,000 out of 1,000,000 said they choose Crest? Because let's be honest, wouldn't you trust it more if I had to put my money, if I had to buy a toothpaste and I saw a study that said 9 out of 10 doctors choose Crest, and then another study that says 900,000 of 1,000,000 doctors choose Crest? I'm going with the 900,000 out of 1,000,000, even though it breaks down to the exact same fraction at the end of the day, right? So my question there is, how many people were in the study, right? For this one, who is the person that gave the diagnosis? What test did they do? So what were the assessments that were done? How were those assessments scored? Like, are they assessments that were scored by the provider, or are they tests that are sent out and they have a separate diagnostic tool, or a separate tool to score that assessment so that you can make a proper diagnosis. I just have questions. Were they paid by a defense attorney, right? Was this diagnosis given after they were charged with 4 murders that were eligible for the DP? I have questions. So I just ask you to please do your due diligence and just ask questions, right? Seriously. And that's all we could do just in life in general, just to help protect us ourselves. Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, the thing that's most important for me is, and Steve said this on the DT show, is not necessarily what about a specific case, like getting, and now every now and then, of course, like he said too, people want to get into the evidence, especially if you've been following it, stuff like that. But the bigger picture here is, how do we see these signs in the future so that we can stop or prevent, mitigate some of the future things that haven't occurred yet? How do we, meet new people with our critical thinking hats on, remembering that you're probably meeting somebody's representative as far as, and I always say this, when you meet somebody, think about first time you went out on a date. You probably, there's some of us that'll go out there and share their whole life and they don't care. But most people show their representative. They'll tell the things that they want the other person that they're on a date with to know about them. They leave out the things that they don't want them to know. So they might tell them things like, I have a job, I, graduated college, I have a car. They might not tell them things like, my mom moved in with me last week because she just sold her house. She's going to be staying with me for a year. Or I'm a mess. Since my mother's been there, she tells me how much of a pig I am. Like, they're not going to tell you those things, right? Because who wants to go out with a pig, right? Or somebody that knows that their mother's going to... And I'm not saying that. I mean, if your mother... That's great. That wasn't my point. My point being was like, dropping a big thing on them. You're not going to do that, right? You're not going to be... You're going to tell them all the things that you think are going to want to get them to come back out again, to meet with you again, assuming that you want to see that person again. So that same thing here. Who is it we're talking about? Who gave the diagnosis? What were the why? And what are alternative explanations? Hence what we were saying back here about how a lot of people just say psychopath. There's more than that though, you guys. So I not only see, and again, no diagnoses here, but I not only see similar traits here, since they're putting out the symptomology, you see a lot of the symptomology within other personality disorders. So whether it be something in cluster B, like narcissism or antisocial personality, or even something in, cluster A or C, like obsessive-compulsive personality disorder. And I think they were the only 2, right? No, I feel like there was another one that I... didn't I? I feel like there was something else. Let me think. There's only 10 personality disorders. Oh, schizotopal. And remember we talked about that. And all right, so we have that too. So, and again, only because I see the rigidity and stuff like that. And I wouldn't have diagnosed him with either one of those things as a whole. I think I did a video where I said that my personal opinion was that he shows mostly signs of, I definitely see the eating disorder clearly, but besides that, antisocial personality characteristics, I have to say characteristics, narcissistic characteristics. There were even times where I thought I saw borderline characteristics, but I think they developed into like narcissistic antisocial. So I was off of that. I'm just kidding. But again, there goes my thought process. So you may start out one place, and then as you go along, you start to, oh, wait. Just like if you guys remember, I'm sure you remember, but Dr. Schultz, who I'll have back on soon. We go back to school in like a week and a half. So we'll have Dr. Schultz back on soon. But if, you've been following me for a while, you've seen me do a live with Dr. Schultz. And in the very beginning, I think it was one of the very first lives I did with her, and it was on the case with BK, and I don't know you guys remember this. I'm going to have to go back and look at it for sure. I mean, I know for sure, but I don't remember which live it was. But in the very beginning, we did a breakdown. I don't know if it was of his rap song. It might have been the one of his rap song. It was either that or the behavior breakdown. The one of his rap song was pretty interesting, though. But we went through and, we talked. And I'll never forget that day. People were asking us, like, what we saw as far as his behavioral characteristics, if you will. And we were on point with a lot of the things. And that very first day, I said that I thought there was antisocial personality, narcissistic personality with traits of, so not the full, but traits of schizotypal and obsessive-compulsive personality disorders. And sure enough, fast forward it, that day though, me and Anya went back and forth because she wasn't convinced yet that he had narcissistic traits or whatever. I was like, huh? They're like big, huge, like he has a capital N on the top of his forehead as far as I could see, right? We then realized that because she had, because she had a relationship at one point, like a very involved one with a narcissist, maybe some of those things just weren't as visible, or she didn't perceive them in the same way at the point. She did eventually come around and agree that he definitely was, but she didn't say it at first. But again, that would give you an example of how two people who have been very, well trained, both of us, at different universities, how we can come up with similar but slightly different characteristics of what we see. And I guess that's also my point here. She eventually came around. But I would love to talk to this doctor or on the side if I could. What are you guys saying? Let's see. All right, let me see. Oh, the rap song. Do you guys remember that? Wait, what does it say? What's wrong with off-the-clock personal research on a live? What does that mean? As a matter of fact, I think I should medicate. Blueberry dump truck. Here comes Casey. It's unethical for a doctor to make a diagnosis online like that. Most of us realize that isn't. Oh, wait, see? Who did it? Who said it? Do you guys see what I'm saying? Who said it? Please tell me, a wise woman. Oh, I want to know. I don't know if you guys deleted it or not. Travis says, what struck me about the BK case was a good percentage of the folks that were convinced he didn't do it. A conspiracy, Clancy, the percentage of that husband, right? Luigi, the whole, yes, you're right. And so I actually did I don't know if it was a video, I guess, on that too, Travis, about, I think I called it, we should end with that tonight, but it's what does defending Bryan Kohberger say about you? And I did not realize when I made this that there would be pro-burgers. I knew that there were people sympathizing. It was kind of like now, like with the Clancy thing, like you're saying, with the husband, there's people now sympathizing, or not sympathizing like that, but like saying like they think the husband did it. It was like the very beginning of that with the Kohberger thing, and I was like, oh, what is that? Like, I feel like that's saying more about the person than anything else. And I did a short video on it, and I'm going to show us. But I'm so happy that a wise woman just had my back, because simply investigating was asking why you don't say certain things. Oh, simply investigating because there's someone on here who wants to see me swim with the fishes, let's just say. So, wait, Harlot said what might have been deleted. Oh, Harlot, no, it wasn't. I was asking if there was something. I shouldn't use the word deleted. I meant that like I didn't see. I said deleted, but I just meant, but I figured it out. But thank you guys for understanding why I don't say those things. Now, regardless, even if there wasn't somebody there that tortures my life, I still have always, and that's just because they call it the Goldwater effect. Barry Goldwater, back in the day, I don't know how old you are, like if you know what I'm talking about, but back in the day, they came up with a Goldwater rule because people were trying to diagnose him back in the day from things that they've never met him before, and so it was like frowned upon. So the American Psychological Association, a bunch of other associations, they talked about it, and they were like, look, we have to come up with a basic rule here. So the rule is, if you haven't met the person and you're not able to have a conversation with them to where they're like, they have insight, not that they have insight, but they're telling you about their symptoms, if you can't conversate with them, then you shouldn't be diagnosing them. However, I will say this, when that rule was brought about, and it's not like a specific like law where you'll get, but it is heavily frowned upon. I will say this though, you get around it by saying it's my opinion, because you are, in the United States, we're allowed to have an opinion. Whether you have a doctorate degree or not, you can still have an opinion. So you can help yourself by saying, this is my opinion, which I do often. But I would be the first to argue this. Since that rule has taken effect, social media is totally different than it was back then. So that whole rule was put into place because we didn't have enough evidence of behavior for any one individual that we could just go on, CNN or Fox News or something and just go up there and say, oh, that Sirius Black, that bitch has some da-da-da. You can't do that. That's not cool. If the only video you've seen of Sirius Black is her telling somebody to go F off, we don't know if that person 2 minutes before slapped their kid. And I'm being dramatic here, but to make a point. The point is that when you don't have enough, you can't really say that. You can pull things out of context. You can say things when you're trying to make a narrative different. There's many reasons why you shouldn't do that. I will say this, though. Since then, let's fast forward to 2026. We now have more evidence of behavior than most clinicians get in months of treating a client one-on-one or a patient, depending on what setting you're in. Do you guys agree with me, right? Think about it. There's so much, all of these new prison calls from Gypsy Rose, we know more about, could you guys imagine if all the conversations, not all of them, but you know what I mean, where a big portion of your life's conversations people heard were the videos she made, and let me be honest, most, if not all of us here don't have anything, as anywhere near as crazy as that. But point being is that if you were to see Gypsy Rose, for example, in therapy, I would argue that if you go online, you can find out more about her, not from other people, but just by watching videos. You could learn about me. I think I've put out enough content and enough hours of me just talking to where if you're trained, you would be able to read me in a way where you could be you would see patterns. For example, I often say, I'm not diagnosing, I'm pointing out behavior. So if I were somebody that was observing my behaviors, that might be something I write down. Why does she find the need to make that clear every live? Why? Do you see what I'm saying? So I would notice patterns, and those patterns are the things that help us determine or understand the behavior patterns of a human being. So I would argue that in today's day and age, we can find out more about a person from doing a Google search and watching the videos and the content that they themselves have put out there for us to see. And therefore, you might have more evidence than in any point in history which would allow you to make such inferences, which is why I think there's so many people out there who do have the education or the credentials or the training to understand these things and to diagnose and to look out for these things. And even, everybody will wind up coming to very similar conclusions. Let's take, Mackenzie Shrilla, for example. I mean, I've always said that, in my opinion, just my opinion, not diagnosing, that I see heavily narcissistic and borderline personality traits in her. I also say that because she was only 17 at the time of the crime, that even if I was a clinician, like, I don't see people in therapy. I chose to go down academia route, so I teach all of the things instead of doing the clinician. I mean, let's be honest, I would sit there and probably talk the whole time and, lecture them about stuff. So there's a reason that I felt that I chose the field that I'm in. But with that being said, what the fuck was my point, you guys? See, it gets late and my meds are like well off, worn off. It'll come back to me. Whatever the hell. Truth, what the hell was I saying? Like, Case, what was my freaking point? A wise woman, be wise. What in the hell was my point here? What they celebrate and villainize. Oh wait, speaking of, I'm going to pull this up. I think he studied... Oh, who, Kohberger? Oh, Wendy, I agree. In truth, I agree. I too think that he was a serial killer in the making. Oh, we were talking about people... That's what I was going to say. When it comes to Mackenzie Shrilla, after I was saying that I see those characteristics, I can't find another person that has similar qualifications or that can, that would know better, that hasn't said those same things, right? That's what I was saying. So because she was 17, if I was seeing her in therapy, I just had to think for a second. If I was seeing her in therapy, I wouldn't be able to diagnose a personality disorder even if I met her, because you can't diagnose a personality disorder before the age of 18. So she was undiagnosable anyway when it comes to that. However, you can put like borderline trait, narcissistic traits. That is a reminder, you know what I mean? She was 17. Let's revisit this in 6 months. Again, my own notes. Let's revisit this in 6 months to see where we are then. Because then if those things are still present, now I might, change it to disorder. And again, all of that is backed by a lot of it, what we're told by the person we're seeing. So a lot of it's self-reporting. And I want you guys to keep that in mind when we talk about Lindsay Clancy more at another time. But a lot of this goes back to self-reporting and what you self-report. And when you're seeing somebody in treatment, that might be something like postpartum psychosis. Do we get clearance from the, not clearance, what's the word I'm looking for, Travis? Do we get consent? That's the word. Do we get consent to speak to your loved ones that would know better so that we can get a better understanding of maybe things? And is that just with postpartum psychosis, or does that now go over into like anxiety and depression and all the other things? Like, and then that then rolls over into people's rights. And, you don't have the right to ask my mom and dad. I'm over 18. I don't want you to ask my mom and dad. I don't want them to tell you that I have episodes or that I do this or I'm destructive to the family. Like, you know what I mean? So you can, in one way, argue that that might be a good thing, because if you can get the perception of everybody that lives with the person or around the person or engages with the person every day, I would argue that you would not only get a clearer understanding of what's going on, but you might then be able to help the person a little bit better than if we're just getting it from that person's own self and what they remember. At that same time, I would also argue that that takes away a lot of a person's rights and their autonomy and their own insight. But you could also argue that in some of these cases, the person may lack insight. And when somebody lacks insight, like Dr. Tufts said about Lindsay Clancy, right? And listen, when she said that, I was like, oh, hell, like she said, lacks insight. But I'm not saying that it wasn't warranted, right? She did lack insight. I mean, as much as I was like, oh, just like reacting here, it is what it is. It's the truth. Thank you, wise woman. I appreciate you. That was great. Oh, wise woman has a question. Do we know if autism test is available for just anyone to view? Now I'm curious if he did. I want to know too. If anyone knows, please let us know. If anyone knows if he had the test. Did anybody in here, I was trying to watch, but I don't think I caught anything. Did anyone in here say that they've taken the test? So Eloise says, hi Eloise. Eloise says it's Asperger's, not autism. It's under the autism umbrella. So Eloise, and again, just because I teach this, so I feel like it would be, it would just be wrong if I didn't, there's no such thing anymore, right? So in the DSM-5 TR, the text revision, we don't list Asperger's anymore. So Asperger's is no longer a diagnosis. Now, if someone said to me, I have autism, like I have Asperger's, I would understand what it is that they were trying to say. But now, instead of saying autism, you would get a level. So, and that's what would make it different. Oh, excuse me. So you would get a level 1, 2, or 3, and that's how you would know what, what's the word I'm looking for? What level, global level of functioning that the person is experiencing. So we wouldn't call it that anymore, but I know exactly what you meant. I think what you were saying is that for Kohberger, I don't know if what you were saying, so tell me if I'm wrong, but what I think I hear you saying is that because he had a mild form of autism, that, maybe he didn't have that same diagnostic testing, I'm not sure. Or were you saying that he did have the diagnostic testing and that they found that he had a milder form? Let's see. It's not used because of the history of Dr. Asperger. Tell us about it, a wise woman. Wow. See? Oh my God, Truth, you're so right. Truth says, as much planning as he put into this, he also planned on what to do for mitigating circumstances. Drew had a grade in psychology and did try to diagnose himself in his letters when he was younger. So this is the thing, Truth. I agree with you. That's really good. That's an important part. And this is the thing too. He had a lot of insight, right? So he did have a lot of insight when he was younger. When it came to that, I will say that. But that's an interesting point. I just found, so I remembered that you guys have no idea how much work I put into stuff. I have so many slides and different things that never make it to my live. And I was just thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. I feel like I just saw one of my slides that had the 3 levels of autism on it. And not like PowerPoint presentation. I'm not with, but maybe this will help. So let's see. Here we go. Okay, so this is understanding autism's 3 levels. So, oh wait, hold on. Let's make this bigger. Oh, I can't make that bigger. Hold on. I want to make this bigger for you guys. Oh no. Oh, here it goes. I thought I just closed it out. So this is what I'm sharing is, if it'll come back up, let's go. My computer's so slow, you guys, I can't take it. Alright, here we go. And then I'm gonna wrap it up, and then I'll wrap it up with that video of what does defending Kohberger say. Well, I'll see what we have. Okay, where's it at? Here we go. Oh, come on. All right, so this is levels 1, 2, and 3 autism. It's coming, sorry. Oh, I know why it came up like that. I saved it as the wrong thing. That was my fault, not my computer's. So computer, I apologize for talking shit. It wasn't you this time. All right, let's see. That was my fault, you guys. Here we go. I pulled up the wrong thing. All right. You guys will see it in a second. It's taking a second to come up on the screen. Oh my god. One day, you guys, one day. Okay. Alright, I'm giving this 1 second to come up. If it doesn't come up this time, we're going to say I think I'm just pressing too many things at this point. Come on. Alright, I'm trying this last time. Oh, duh. I just had to go down further. Here we go. I got it. Oh my gosh. It's coming. So here we have under try to go bigger. That's what I wanted to do. That was my whole thing. I just wanted to make it bigger. Alright, let's look at this real quick. Okay, understanding autism. So we have the 3 levels of autism real quick. I will make it bigger so you guys could see it, and then I could also add this to the description as well in the live so that if anybody wants this as a resource, you could use this. But I'll make it bigger and then I'll just go like that so you can see it better. So we have understanding autism. I think this is why I didn't use this, because when I pulled it up big on the screen, you couldn't read all of the little things, and I know better as a teacher, if you handed this in as one of your PowerPoint slides, you would get many points off because there's way too much on the slide. So I never use this, but I'm like, maybe it can come in handy now. So let's see. So Bryan Kohberger, court document overview, All right, let's keep going. Let's just get right to the levels. Level 1 is requiring support. So if you have level 1 autism, you will require support. So individuals can generally function independently. So this would be what many people think of when they say Asperger's. But an individual can generally function independently, but may struggle with social communication, organization, and flexibility. Some common characteristics: difficulty understanding subtle social cues, may appear different or awkward, changes with change or transitions, strong interest, may hyperfocus, may mask or hide struggles in some settings, and anxiety can be common. This is the thing here. That was another thing. I'm so glad I pulled this up. We don't see a lot of anxiety with Kohberger at all. And some of the things like hyperfocus can also go with a diagnosis like ADHD. So that's why I'm saying we can't just take one symptom and go with it for any diagnosis, especially, we have to look at it as a whole. A level 2, somebody with level 2 autism requires substantial support. So individuals have more noticeable difficulties with communication and social interaction and greater challenges with change. Some of the common characteristics are limited social interactions, may prefer to be alone, which we also see in like a schizotypal type personality. So again, you could see these different characteristics in different things. A lot of this goes back to how do we see it in the totality of everything together. Common challenges, verbal and nonverbal. More evident repetitive behaviors and routines, which you could say we've seen some of these things with Kohberger too. Distress with changes in routine. Strong need for predictability. Now this is the thing. I don't know that we saw distress with changes in his routine. One thing that I think Kohberger was good at was changing, as far as like he would go from one thing to the other. So You know, he got too big. He wanted to take weight loss on. He goes from being too big to so thin that he needed, well, one, he has an eating disorder at that time, and then two, he winds up having surgery for all the extra skin that he had because he lost such a substantial amount of weight, which I actually was like, what? I wish I had surgery. Ooh, could you imagine? Anyway, level 3, requiring very substantial support. Individuals have significant challenges in communication and daily functioning and typically require intensive support. Some of the common characteristics are severe difficulty with verbal and nonverbal communication. So this person on a level 3 may be nonverbal. Very limited social interactions, intense distress with any change, repetitive behaviors interfering with daily life, difficulty coping with sensory input, high anxiety, may struggle with self-regulation. And again, there are other things, you know, other disorders that you could have some of these similar things. So again, it's about the totality together. Hi, Andrea. How the hell are you doing? I don't know why I just said it so dramatic. She's very interesting, but I'm on the fence with what she says. She's a little too dramatic for me. Who? Me? Am I dramatic? Wait, Heidi. Oh, Casey's agreeing, and Casey doesn't think I'm dramatic, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen her just like bust out singing in the middle of a reading. Who? Who sings readings? I want to watch. Oh, wait. If you saw that Stephanie has a show on Netflix. Wait, Stephanie from Rotten Mango? A wise woman says things can change even in a single day. A clinical setting, though, it's really hard to do that. So the time to do that, so these levels are commonly used there. Oh, I see what you're saying. Kohberger acted strange because he knew he was hiding a monster. Sunny, I missed that. Oh, Andrea, no excuses. You're not allowed to go to work. I'm just joking. Obviously. Hey, Ella. How the hell are you doing, Ella? Are you Sunny now? I think I did say hi to you. Are You Sunny Now says, I have 2 adopted special needs grandsons with autism. They present in different ways. And this is why we need people like you on here so that you can not only remind us of that. See, this is the thing, you guys. When it comes to academia, there's like only so much, you know. Oh, I'm gonna have to look it up. I love her. Stephanie? What is it, Stephanie? Is it? Oh, I forget. I don't want to guess wrong. Oh, Stephanie Harlow is a psychic. Wait, now I'm confused. Which Stephanie has a show on Netflix? Because Stephanie Harlow is not the same as the Rotten Mango Stephanie. I like both of them, though. I'll look into it, though. Oh, you're not talking. Oh my God, you guys. Heidi, forgive me. I just jumped into the conversation. At first, I thought you were talking about me being dramatic, which would have been okay. I mean, you wouldn't have been wrong. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have been lying. Jenny says, did I see the case that was breaking last night in Philly? Wait, no, what? I was down the shore. I just got home. Wait, what are you talking about? I'm petrified. Is he caught? I'm going to have to look it up. What would I look up? The gross guy, Eugene. Let's see. Let's put in Eugene. And the missing girls in Philly. Let's see. Oh, let's see. What? Oh, wait, hold on. I want to share this. You... What? Oh, wait till you guys see this. I did not know about this. Thank you for telling me. Who just told me? Let's see. Oh, okay, it was Jeannie, I think it was. Alright, let me show you guys what this is. That was crazy. So it's this right here. Why do these girls look familiar? I mean, I don't... Huh. Wait, let me see something, you guys. What? The mystery surrounding missing women. Let's see what the hell the thing. Oh, there we go. When Wednesday, August 12th. Where's this at? Stop it. What? Truth, this is right up your alley. Wait, he wrote erotic books with sadomasochistic themes. Those findings have connected 4 missing women to what he had done and built a hole that was maybe 3-4 feet deep, 4 by 4, and then So wait, what happened last night? Now, any of that? I don't know if you see it, because on the one screen it looks like you see it. So yeah, you do. You could see it. Okay. All right, you guys. So that was crazy. No. And then let's see. One last thing here that I wanted to do is I want to show you guys a little bit. Oh, I did a video on, I just have to finish putting it together. But I think I'm going to go back and testimony. Oh, I have to show his picture. He got arrested. Wait, what do you mean? He wasn't arrested before? It says a jury convicted him of kidnapping. I have to show his picture. Let's see. Images. Girls. Wait. Is this him? This right here? Images from home on West 2 Avenue in Albany appeared to show 2 missing women dead. What? Oh, can you not hear me? Can you guys... I sound funny? Oh no. I don't know what's happening. But wait, this is him right here? Oh, I'm gonna look that up as soon as we get off the live. But before that, I want to show you. So, I did a video. Here it is. Oh, that's funny. I did a few of them. I did some on his supposed autistic diagnosis. Oh, well, you guys, I did quite a lot. I don't think I realized how many I did. All right. So this goes back a little further. Let me get to my next page. Hold on, I'm pulling it up in 1 second. Let me show you. All right, here it goes. What does defending Bryan Kohberger say about you? That's literally what I named it. So let me pull it up and I'm going to share it with you guys.
Have you ever caught yourself defending someone accused of something?
Oh, hold on. Share on this tab instead. All right, I have to remember to mute myself, so I'm going to mute it, and then I'll put it up nice and big.
Have you ever something horrific because you saw a piece of yourself in them?
Diving into the psychology of identity.
Yourself defending someone accused of something horrific, not because you agree with them, but because you saw a piece of yourself in them.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jamie Vona, and in this video, we're diving off an uncomfortable phenomenon where we unconsciously project our own pain onto people the world has labeled monstrous.
Today, we're using the case of Bryan Kohberger to explore how identity, trauma, and social media shape our reactions to crime, and sometimes distort our sense of justice. In psychology, projection is a defense mechanism where we attribute our own feelings or traits onto others, usually the ones we are not fully aware of or have not processed. Identity projection goes a step further. It is when we see ourselves in someone else's story, especially someone who shares our pain, our alienation, our outsider status. It's not about approving their actions, it's about unconsciously aligning with their struggles. We may say things like, "He was bullied too. No one saw his pain. He was socially awkward like me." Even if someone is accused of something horrific, if we recognize part of our own wounded identity in them, we may feel sympathy, or even defend them without realizing why. When the Kohberger case broke, the public's initial reaction was shock, anger, and grief for the victims, which is absolutely justified. But then came the wave of something else, fascination, and even empathy, not with what he allegedly did, but with who he was. People dug into his past, bullied, isolated, a late bloomer who struggled socially. He was described as awkward, intellectual, different. And suddenly, some viewers online started to say, "I was like that too. I know what it feels like to be invisible. I just wanted people to see me." This is the emotional trapdoor of identity projection. What starts as curiosity becomes connection. And that connection, if unchecked, can cloud moral clarity. So why do we do this? From a psychodynamic perspective, projection allows us to deal with unresolved parts of the self, especially the parts connected to shame, rejection, or loneliness. In Kohberger's case, people didn't relate to murder. They related to marginalization. It's also deeply tied to self-authorship, or the story we tell ourselves about who we are, how we relate to others, and how we acquire that knowledge. When someone else's story mirrors our own pain, we fill in emotional gaps and become more forgiving of their darker behaviors. This is especially potent in online spaces, where algorithms feed us emotional resonance over logic. The more familiar Kohberger's face became, the more people felt like they knew him. That's the danger. When projection takes over, empathy becomes selective, and justice becomes biased. I've felt this instinct myself, not in the Bryan Kohberger case, but toward people who, like me, were underestimated, written off, misunderstood. As someone who grew up fighting for visibility and later advocating for my daughter's complex medical needs, I get the feeling of being the outsider. So when I see someone portrayed as strange or isolated, I flinch. Not because I excuse their actions, but because that part of my identity remembers the pain of being overlooked. That's why identity projection is so tricky. It doesn't come from malice. It comes from unhealed memory. So ask yourself, do I support this person? Or do I see myself in their story? Am I reacting to them or to me? Bryan Kohberger's story, whatever the courts decide, is not just about crime. It's about how identity, pain, and perception blur our ability to see things clearly. Be aware of the stories you resonate with, because sometimes the most dangerous narratives are the ones we've lived ourselves.
This spoke to you. Subscribe for more true crime psychology breakdown. And tell me in the comments, have you ever
Okay, I was gonna say it's not letting me put my mic on, but it did. So Sirius says, is this kind of like mirroring? Yes and no. I think it depends on the context. So we tend to mirror other people, but this would be different in that it's not so much mirroring as it is projection. Think about it. And I gave an example in that case there. I shared with everyone that I spent a good 20 years fighting for Gianna for what was right. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Ivy. That was done so long ago. It was one of my first videos, but just because I did one on it, I thought that it would be interesting to go back. I did a video that I would love to watch with you guys. We could actually do it tonight, and if somebody's interested or not interested, I totally understand. But my very first video that I've ever done, ever on YouTube, was about BK, and about, I named it, Do They See Me Now? And I'm so curious to see what my viewpoint was back then, but I still think it would be pretty similar. I'm hypothesizing, so that would be interesting. But serious, I see it more as projection. So like I said, I spent a good deal of my life fighting for Gianna's leg and for what was right. And I had to advocate a lot. In that case, I knew what it was like to be the underdog. So I get how when there's an underdog in a situation, I often find myself voting for the underdog, even if I don't know what position I'm taking just because they're the underdog. So I guess that's a point I was trying to make there, was that when people are defending someone, whether it be BK, in another case, whatever case may be, if there's like this evidence, right, like he's admitted, he's confessed. I mean, I don't want to get into an argument with anybody over this. Glenn, if you're watching, maybe watch a different one. I probably should have said that in the beginning. But anyway, I'm just kidding. We love you, Glenn. But you guys, what part of your identity is identifying with that story? are you really, do you really believe in that person's innocence as much as you're seeing yourself in your own story in part of their story? So maybe not their whole story. I mean, obviously you didn't go to university, to get your doctorate and wind up killing 4 people. So I don't mean that part, but the parts of his identity that people will defend and argue. I am going to go ahead and play that first video again. If you're not interested, I totally understand. You've been hanging out with me already for a really long time, and I get it. But if you are interested in staying around, I would love to have you here to watch this. I was going to watch this after anyway, just to see, because it's been so long. So why not do it with you guys? Who knows? There might be somebody out there that's also interested in going back. I've never really gone back and looked at old things, so it's actually interesting to me. I did multiple videos. I did a video on Ethan and Sana. You guys, for those of you who are always like, I wish I could help more, da 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 da. Literally, if you want to help me, go through my videos, hit like, and watch them, and I can't even tell you how much of a help that would be. Oh, hold on. We have, let's see. Come on. It was that well. I guess it's been a minute. You guys, I totally forgot. I should be showing you what I'm looking at. So here, let me show you guys what I'm looking at. That way, while I'm doing it, you can see what it is I'm saying. I almost forgot that I did all of those Google Trend videos. If any of you are interested in like sleuthing in real time, I don't remember. It's in one of the 4 videos that are the Google Trend videos, but in one of them, and I think I made a short of it, so you could probably just go right to my shorts and find it. But we were able to find what I consider evidence of Papa Roger. And that was interesting in my opinion. I thought so. Oh no. Oh wait, hold on. Sirius says I love you, Sirius. Let's see. Of course we're interested, says Harlot. I wish Cuff U was here, you guys. Cuff U, where are you? Alright, I'm gonna pull it up this way. Make it easier. Let me get in my videos. I'm not going to put it up to where you guys see all the things, because that's what just messed me up, because God forbid I try to multitask on my computer. But hold on, we got it. It's coming. Oh yeah, so I did weeks 1, 2, 3, 4. I did 4 weeks at Google Trends. And my thumbnails for the Google Trends videos were of, like, I went back after each one of my Google Trend lives and I clipped out the trends that you see in that video. And I did find the Papa Roger one's 41 seconds. Let's watch it. Hold on. I have to pause it so I could pull it up here. Alright, I have so many things going on. Hold on. Share. My computer's like, biatch, chill. I'm like doing the clickety click. I'm clicking all the things. Alright, here we go. Share with you guys. Here we go. We're in business. I'm just gonna have patience. Ready? Step away from it. Don't touch it. You touched it too much already. Here it goes. See, I didn't touch it and it came up. Share my audio. Alright, here we go. I'm going to turn off my...
convinced that Bryan Kohberger is Papa Roger. I will say that again. It is my opinion as of 5/22/25 at 5. I put him in Idaho. However, when I put him in Washington, we got a hit, and the hit is the day before the homicide. It's like Bryan.
Oh, well. Can you guys can hear me, so I'm going to type it. Can you hear me right now? It's just out of curiosity. I'm trying to figure out.
Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a clinical and for psychologist as well.
All right, I'm going to put that very first video I ever did on, and I'm going to I don't know where I went. Wait, hold on. Hi guys, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I think I had too many things open. I'm gonna close down all my things. Not all of them, but like some of these things. I have way too much open. That should be much better. What is this? Let's see what I have on here. Let me close some of this shit out before I open up the next thing. Sorry about that. Hopefully you guys could hear me. Can you hear me? How many tabs do I have there? A lot. Did you guys see how many tabs I had open? I'm going to close all this crap out. I think that might be a little bit of the problem. Let's see. It's always something. Yeah, I don't know. It's taken a second to close out my 400 tabs, so just bear with me. Unbelievable, you guys. But anyway, so while we're waiting for that, you know what else I found? And I think it's so funny. I was like, what was I thinking with my outfit? I don't know what this top is or my lipstick. But as I'm scrolling for that video, I was like, what in the hell? Alright, I probably should have waited for the other things to close first. But I'm being way too impatient. Patience is a virtue. Let's see. Alright, here we go. we might be back in business. I think we are. Oh, look at me, chubby girl. Alright, that wasn't the one with the crazy lipstick. This one is. What is that top? And what is that lipstick? Never ask the universe for more patience. Why it doesn't work. We can only see you full screen. Is it fixed now? Alright, hopefully everything's fixed. But you guys, I'm going through this. Wait, look at my crazy lipstick and shirt. What is that shirt? Why do I look like Hamilton or something? What's happening? You get way more difficult challenges. I do. And then this one over here, the director of King Road, like the director of something in the university called me back. That was crazy. But I have all these things here. Before I did The Minds Behind True Crime with Dr. Vona, I had a podcast called She Rises with Melody Williams. And, oh, look at me, a little chubby over here. Oh, chub. That's okay, nothing wrong with that. But we do a whole bunch of different topics if anyone's interested. And I literally put it here. Like this one, it says, today we discuss relationships. And relationships related to healthy and unhealthy behaviors. Oh, that one says we pray for Sebastian Rogers in there. I forgot that I even covered that at all. Anyway, here is my very, very first video. Well, let's watch it. It was 1 year ago, you guys. Here is to 1 year of The Minds Behind True Crime with Dr. Vona. I wonder why this is on video and not live, but whatever. I made this one and I worked really hard on it, so let's watch it together. I'm dying to know what I had to say. This was my very first video of all the cases. Well, let's see what happens. Bryan Kohberger's The Chilling Transformation. In the shadows of small-town demeanor lay a mind that grew increasingly fascinated with crime, violence, and control. His haunting journey could be summed up in a single question he seemed to be asking the world. Do you see me now? Understand the world. We need to rewind back to the beginning, to the childhood home, the fact, the mind of an alleged killer. Bryan Kohberger was born on November 21st, 1994 in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, a small, peaceful town surrounded by forest and far from the hustle of the city life. His parents, Michael and Marianne Kohberger, were loving, hardworking people. His father worked as a maintenance technician and his mother as a substitute teacher at a local high school. Together, they raised Bryan and his two older sisters, who excelled in school, and were described as well liked by their peers. However, Bryan struggled to find his place. As a young boy, he was reportedly overweight, a fact that made him the target of relentless bullying throughout his elementary and middle school years. He was different, and kids picked up on that. One former classmate would later say, the constant teasing left scars, ones that would manifest in troubling ways as he got older. By the time Bryan reached high school, things took a dark turn. In fact, during this time, the Kohbergers filed for bankruptcy for the second time. Why is this relevant or even appropriate to bring in? Appropriate because the financial burden is stressful and unpredictable, often negatively affecting children in their formative years. Bryan would have been approximately 15 years old during this time, which coincides with the start of his digital identity. He allegedly authored a series of online posts and provided insight into his mental state. Using the username XR, he contributed to forums on Tapatalk, particularly those related to visual snow syndrome, which is a neurological condition that causes visual disturbances. In these posts, Kohberger described his struggles with mental health, including depression, anxiety, and a profound sense of detachment from reality. He described experiencing horrible depersonalization and feeling as though he was blank, with no emotion and nothing. He also mentioned having crazy thoughts and delusions of grandeur, which is just a fancy term for, I think I'm better, smarter, and more worthy than you. He even expressed a lack of interest in activities and constant thoughts of ending his life. In May 2012, Bryan was 17 years old. He produced a particularly concerning post. He says, "When I get home, I am mean to my family. This all started when the VS did. I felt no emotion, and with depersonalization, I can say and do whatever I want with little remorse." These posts, reportedly made between 2009 and 2012, have been linked to Kohberger through various identifiers, including matching usernames and corroboration from individuals who knew him at the time. One former classmate would later describe him during this time as the kid that no one wanted to sit with. This isolation Bryan experienced during his formative years likely played a critical role in shaping his perception, developing drug abuse, and even struggling with eating issues. Bryan's struggles became more apparent in high school. He was overweight, socially awkward, and often the target of bullying. Classmates recalled that he rarely defended himself, remaining silent or retreating inward. In my opinion, over time, this relentless teasing must have left a deep emotional impact on Bryan, as it would for any of us. Nick McLaughlin, a close friend of Bryan Kohberger, said that he was down to earth and overweight as a teen. When they started senior year, Kohberger was thinner than a rail and developed an aggressive personality, according to his friend. Over that summer, his outward appearance drastically changed. Friends suspected he was struggling with an eating disorder, possibly driven by a need to gain control. Eating disorders, like substance abuse, arises out of a need for control. Although both display out-of-control behaviors, the individual with the disorder feels they are in control, especially in childhood, when you have very little control in life other than what you say, what you take in,
and what you put out. Bryan shed significant weight. Perhaps this symbolized his transformation from shedding the bullied, chubby boy off to becoming the lean, more unrecognizable, intense version of himself. But while the bullying may have lessened, the internal scars remained. Worst of all, I still, in my opinion, don't think he felt seen. There's something else. Around this time, his friends began noticing a shift in his personality, which took on a more troubling tone during this period. He began expressing strange, sometimes disturbing thoughts, and grew more withdrawn and distant. One former friend recounted how Bryan would occasionally bring up violent topics in casual conversations. You know, the things that make others feel uncomfortable. Other friends discussed how he was obsessed with his image. One friend recalls that it felt like he was trying to reinvent himself. This reinvention didn't stop at his appearance. He became intensely interested in martial arts and weightlifting, perhaps to build himself into someone in control who could no longer be victimized. Bryan graduated Pleasant Valley High School in 2013 at 19 years old. When I was doing my research, I did find a gap from 2014 to 2016 when Bryan eventually enters college after getting clean from heroin. I will do a follow-up video diving into his alleged addiction and eating disorder to identify risk factors and provide an understanding of how teens and young adults need to have a sense of identity, self-worth, and control or agency over their future direction. When people feel powerless at this age, they have an increased chance of engaging in adult-like or dangerous behaviors to gain control, even if it means using out-of-control behaviors and distorted perceptions. Despite the red flags, Bryan excelled academically, showing a particular interest in psychology and criminology. This fascination with the human mind would follow him into his adulthood. Bryan's academic success eventually led him to DeSales University, where he pursued a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in criminology. At DeSales, Bryan's obsession with criminal behavior deepened. Professors noted that he asked unnervingly detailed questions about violent crimes, questions that went beyond mere academic curiosity. Dive into the DeSales questionnaire Bryan created and posted on Reddit, soliciting former felons to take part in his research that aimed at understanding how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime. He questioned how the criminals approached their victims and prepared for the crime shortly before he graduated with a master's degree in criminology. I have to be honest with you guys. When I heard this, a huge red flag went up for me. As a recent doctoral graduate with over 20 years of experience teaching psychology at the college and university levels, I know that his survey was created too late in the research process to use for his graduation requirements. This is my personal opinion. However, as a researcher, I put in at least 30 to 40 hours a week for over a year on my dissertation research. I know an institutional review board process took at least 1 month for me to gain final approval before I could even move on to data collection and analysis. Then there's even more work to do after this step, which would have made it almost impossible, if not impossible, to use the survey results for a valid and reliable institutional study. Bryan graduated 1 or 2 months after posting this survey. Therefore, it is my opinion that the survey most likely had nothing to do with graduation credits and rather was used for personal insight. To top it off, I would not be surprised if we find out that DeSales University was completely unaware of and did not approve of the survey protocol. For me, the survey questions reveal a deeply troubled individual grappling with issues that eroded his sense of empathy and connection to the world. His fascination with violence and crime, combined with social isolation and mental health struggles, created a dangerous cocktail that went unnoticed by those around him. In hindsight, the signs were definitely there. A young man with a growing fascination for the criminal mind, a history of bullying and social isolation, and an inability to form healthy relationships. Let me be clear, this alone isn't enough to have predicted anything that he would be alleged of doing in the years to come. Bryan Kohberger's story is a chilling reminder of how a troubled mind can spiral into darkness. From a bullied child to an isolated adolescent, and finally an obsessive adult, one haunting question remained throughout time. Do they see me now? Unfortunately for the 4 beautiful victims, Kaylee, Madison, Zaina, and Ethan, an identity or formed an attachment that he was not able to do organically in life. May we continue to seek justice for the victims. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Could early intervention, and most chilling, are others struggling silently, walking a similar path? What do you think about Bryan Kohberger's transformation? Was it nature, nurture, something else entirely? Remember, everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for deeper insights into true crime stories. Too many things open. Let me hide that on the stream. Let's see. There we go. Hi guys. What'd you think of that? I couldn't believe it. Yeah, the mugshot with the facial hair is scary. He doesn't look like, it looks like he's on Xanax or something. He probably was. Oh, I know which, I actually, Harlot, know which photo you're talking about. I agree with you. So does Andrea. I totally agree with you. I know which one you're talking about. I've always thought that. I agree. I do. So what do you guys think of that? Do you guys agree that he lacks identity? Because I think he lacked, and he still does. But, well, no. If anything, now he has unfortunately forced an identity on himself by attaching himself to the 4 victims. So now he'll always be known, unfortunately, as the a-hole who took the lives of those 4 victims, right? Of the 4 lives that he ended shortly. Kaylee, Madison, Zaina, and Ethan. And sorry, there was something on my keyboard. It was a dog hair. I said something. It was a dog hair. I knew what it was. But it was bothering me this whole time, and I was afraid that if I touched it, I would do something, so I just had to blow it off. Anyway, super creepy, right? But now he'll always be known as their killer. So it's like he forged an identity by attaching himself to 4 students who happen to have these amazing personalities and identities of their own. Each one of those young adults had their, or kids, whatever you want to call them, they all had their own thriving identities, and
I don't even, he's not stealing anyone's identity because we're not going to let that happen. But for him, by doing what he did, right, that then, you know, now ties him to them for victims, unfortunately, forever. So let's make sure that we do a really good job of keeping their identities and their personalities alive and separate from his. Makes sense? Are You Sunny Now said, it's a great video. He wanted to be seen. He may not care how. That's exactly right. I keep missing you, says You Two Bad Actors. You Two Bad Actors. What the frig? You gotta, like, I don't know, maybe check. And I'm not saying that like being sarcastic, but sometimes it's my fault because I won't know that I'm going live until like 3 minutes before I go live. Oh, that's a good one, Harlot. I do. I always, as soon as I post it, the very next thing I do is I post it in our general chat. That's right, Harlot. On Discord. So in Discord, anybody can join our Discord. It is run by the lovely Cuff You, who I feel like is mad at me right now because Cuff You is usually around. Could it be that Cuff You is just tired because her grandchildren just moved closer to her, so I'm sure she's been busy with that. Absolutely. But I don't know why. But Cuff You, I love you and I appreciate you. So hopefully you're just busy with your grandkids, and I just took a few days off. And I was glad that I did. I needed that, and I wanted to hang with my mom and my best friend, so I was able to do all that. And Truth Exposed had a happy birthday. I was so excited, you guys, because I was like, I was the first person to wish you happy birthday. I even wished Truth a happy...
Thank you.
My God,
Thank you. Thank you.
Shut up. You're a member now. Well, welcome to the Minds Behind True Crime with Dr. Moon, where we put the fun in dysfunctional. Thank you so much. Wow, thank you. Me or Cuff You always post the lives and tag everyone on Discord. Thank you, Harlot. I appreciate you and Cuff You so very much. You have no idea. You Two Bad Actors, thank you for that. That's awesome. Alexa, where's Addie at? Hey, Addie. Oh, look, you said Addie and I say hi. What's up? I saw Alexa. I'm like, yo, Alexa and Addie. Awesome, you guys. You missed some lives too. You'll do that too. Yeah, you guys, even if you can't go in Discord all the time, does Cuff You disagree with the Clancy stuff? YouTube, you might be right. So this is the thing. I hope that that's not it. You guys, there's going to be times in our lives. See, I can't be on Discord all the time because I really do have 45 jobs. Not that you guys don't, but somehow many of you have a way better ability to do so many things. I mean, I do a lot of things too, but I feel like some of you are able to just handle a lot. So good for all of you. But so, like, in other words, many of you have 14 jobs, kids, and everything else too, and you'll still know exactly what's going on and everything. And for some reason, I don't know. I don't know if it's just me, if it's AD, I don't know what it is. But you thought of us at 1 a.m. when your daughter asked to make French fries. That is so funny. Aren't we all always going, we're not all going to agree on everything. So this is the thing. If you guys and support, since Cuff You is, I mean, she is, you guys could still see me, but without Cuff You, I mean, we have a beautiful Discord, and thank you to all of you, especially Harlot and stuff, and all of you that help over there. Serious, all of you. But she's literally the one that, like, goes hard on that. I think you might be right, you two bad actors, but I didn't want to say that, was feeling that, and I didn't want to like bring awareness to it if it wasn't real and I was making it up in my head. But I think that that's it, because we both just thought the same thing. I honestly think she's just been busy with the babies. She was over there last night and I talked to her in Discord. Oh, good. Hopefully you guys are able to hear me and that it's just my... no, you two bad actors, I don't know that you're wrong. Can you guys hear my words? Or is that breaking up too? You are freezing on the screen. Okay, but not in the words. You hear us. I mean, you hear me, good. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to stop my video just because, I don't know, go back on to see if it fixes it. But that way, because you all know, it's one thing to get frozen, it's another thing to get frozen with like your mouth half open. Got this real quick. So thank you guys. So hopefully that's better now. I just heard my fan cool down and everything, so hopefully we're good right now, which is good because this is an important part. If you are on Discord, I ask you to do me a favor and throw out like a message of love to Cuff You and remind her that we are stronger than our view on a topic. I mean, you guys, Glenn is one of my favorite people, and Glenn would not have loved the live I did tonight, but I'm sure he'll watch it, and I'm sure he'll leave me a few comments, and I'll write back, and I respect his view. Do you know what I mean? And I actually appreciate that Glenn can disagree and not argue. Like, we don't argue with each other about it. He'll tell me, you know, I think this. Truth knows what I mean, right? Truth, what is it about Glenn that's like so lovable that, because this is the thing, he has a difference of opinion on some things, and I hope Glenn doesn't ever feel like, but the truth is, you guys, what case was it? Was it Lindsay Clancy? I feel like in the very beginning, I didn't know where anybody stood, and for some reason, I was under the impression, and whether it was right or wrong, I perceived that all of my friends, like you close, like all of you that are here, like my really close peoples, for some reason, I thought that all of you thought that postpartum psychosis was not acceptable. So the very first night that I go and I talk about the Lindsay Clancy case, if you go back and look, I'm actually so nervous. And you could tell I might have even said it. I think I did. I think I said something along the lines of, you guys, I think I might be on an island of my own. I think because I have a good memory when it comes. And when I say I have such a good memory, just know that I am very aware of the fact that there's a lot of things I forget. It's more when I have to retrieve memory, I'm usually able to do so. But I do get that there's times where I'm like, I don't fucking know. But that could have just been something I wasn't registering, if that makes sense. But with the Lindsay Clancy case, you guys, I remember saying something, and I'm paraphrasing, not only that I felt like I was on an island of my own, I was nervous for the whole day. It took me longer to do my first script on the Lindsay Clancy case than any other script I did, including that video that I just did. And videos are hard to do. Like, you have to, everything has to like happen at the right time. You have to do multiple takes. It's just a lot. And my script for that first night, and what I mean by script, I mean like I don't write every word for word. I write down the bullet points that I want. Now, if there's something that I need to like be said a certain way, like in my head, I will write that down. So I make sure that I say it the way that I intend. But most of it is just me freestyling through bullet points. And I was petrified because, and I remember one of my very first bullet points after being on an island on my own was that I hope we can all still respect and love each other, even if we disagree. and that I felt I wouldn't be staying true to myself if I didn't come out and say how I felt about it. I, at the time, didn't even consider covering the case. It was more that I was watching this thing unfold, and because I hadn't talked to anybody, it really taught me a lesson too, right? Like, had I just said something, I would have realized that there were other people that were feeling that same way too, but I didn't. It is what it is. I learned a lesson. So it took like so much courage for me to stand up for my truth that night and let all of you understand that even if we felt differently, that, you know, I hope you guys still respect me and da 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 da. And I don't know why, you guys. I really thought I was all by myself on that. And what I come to find out is that I hope Cuff U isn't feeling that way right now. I know Cuff U isn't sold on the postpartum psychosis, and that's okay. It would be weird if we all thought the exact same way all the time. Like, that would be weird, right? So I respect that Cuff U, and not for nothing, if not for Cuff U disagreeing, I might be a little bit biased, right? Because it's people like Cuff U and other competing perspectives that even allows me to make room in my thought process for something different, right? If it was so clear cut to every single one of us, well, then it might not even be, you know, as interesting to talks amongst us, because we would all be like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Like, what else are you gonna say? Oh yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah. Like, no, you have to have conversation. And the thing is, if anybody's out there when it comes to the Clancy case, if you don't agree with postpartum psychosis, I still want you to watch. I still want you to come over here, because I still respect you and I still respect your opinion. And I will also tell you, I don't know if you guys know who, I'm sure you do. She used to be on all the shows growing up, but Pat Brown, the profiler, investigator lady on YouTube, she is a firm believer that Lindsay Clancy is not suffering from postpartum psychosis and that she has an antisocial personality disorder. So there are very educated professional people that have worked in criminology, you know what I mean? Like Pat Brown, her whole life, and sees antisocial. My issue with antisocial personality, like that, and again, nobody's diagnosing, but that type of behavior pattern, my problem with that is twofold. One, unlike other people, you know, people that have been on trial that we've covered, or even ones that we haven't covered, there's usually many people, not just one, but many, that will come out and tell you a story about them that you're like, what? So let's take Kohberger, for example. There's hundreds of pages of documentation of people that were creeped out by him, right? There's so much documentation. I mean, there were so many people that could have told you a story and been like, you know, the one about the pool party where he goes up to the girl, or the one about how, you know, the other girl that he makes feel uncomfortable at the apartment complex, like the one that he walks out, or he walks to the car. Somebody else that feels like he's staring at them, or wouldn't let them out of the room. The one teacher or whatever felt like they couldn't get out of the room. So there was many stories that we heard that in hindsight were like, oh damn, think of all the school shooters you ever heard, right? There's all these stories afterwards about people saying, oh, he did this, or da 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 da, or she did that. And it's like, oh, well, hindsight, right? Think of Mackenzie Shrilla. How many people out there will tell you she was mean to them? We have videos of her saying, for all you people that we let do illegal things in our house, that, like, this is how you're going to repent. Like, what? So we see her being a mean girl. I have translated her jail calls with her mother, where she was called a bully by one of the inmates and was, like, pissed off. So, and she says in the call, like, she called me a bully, and she said I laughed at her, and she's like, I did. Like, and, like, admits to laughing at her. Anyway, we have tons of stories that can go and back up that person's personality characteristics that are hindsight at that point. One thing that I haven't found with this case was anyone, not forget just testifying, but there's not even been like YouTube like leaks where somebody's old friend from 4th grade, like nothing, not a peep. I haven't heard a thing negative about her like that. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that, she might have annoyed, things like that. We all have those stories. But as far as having a story where it's like, 4 years ago, she bullied me, like, I don't hear any of these horrible stories about her, which you would hear most of the time, right, with somebody, especially if you have antisocial personality. If somebody has, and I'll give, Pat some leverage there by saying, even if we're not saying disordered, which she might have, but I'm not sure. But even if we're not saying that, and we're just saying traits, I don't even see that. So, and with antisocial personality characteristics, you have to, in order to get diagnosed with that, and again, we're not diagnosing, but just to give that theory, to see where that lies for me, in order to be diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, you would have had to have been diagnosed with a conduct disorder before the age of 15. She does not fit the pattern, you guys. I see almost no signs of antisocial personality there. I mean, are there things that you could chalk off and be like, oh, they seemed like, emotionless or this or that? She could be medicated, right? So, like, there could be alternate answers for some of the little things we see here and there. When it comes to her overall behavior patterns that start at birth and continue, they're they develop with you. I don't see any of those things. Do you? And is there something I'm missing? I don't know. Oh, I'm glad I got to see you too, Andrea. YouTube says, yes, even all the prosecution witnesses don't say she wasn't a loving mother. Exactly, and that's my thing. There's not even the best friend who said it was so awkward, and it must have been. She went and saw her. I mean, I thought about it this weekend. I spent the past few days with my best friend Dana from 4th grade, and we talked a lot about the case, and I couldn't imagine. Oh, Thor needs to be heard, everyone. I got to go let Thor out 1 sec. But I said to her, and I want you guys to imagine when I let Thor out real quick, imagine sitting with your best friend, this happens, and you see her. It was the month after this happened. The best friend is allowed to go see her at the hospital. What do you talk about? What does it look like? I don't know. Hold on, let me let Thor out. Okay. But yeah, when it comes to the whole thing with the Clancy, Thorsty was going crazy when I had the video on. Thank God it was muted. His family suing the hospital for letting him in with a belt. What? His family is suing the hospital for letting him in with a belt? Stop. It just took me a minute. Because she was... What? Oh my God. I did know that there's a lawsuit. So Alexa says who? So I think she's talking about the ex-husband. This is another thing, you guys. Can we not blame the ex-husband? I mean, does anybody in here think that the ex-husband did this? Like, I don't understand this theory. When I tell you my best friend at first knew very little about the case, what she did know was that there was something about the husband that he might have did it and threw her out the window. I said, what? I was like, I'm about to throw you out of the car on the Atlantic City Expressway. Like, what the frig are you talking about? Like, you're about to get ejected from my car while I drive at 70 miles an hour. Like, what? And I had to tell her all the things. Like, a lot of people are saying that the husband did it. And, no. I don't even know where people are getting that at. And this is my thing. Serious. Imagine this, okay? How many women, all of you women out there, all of you, even the men, how many women do you know, okay, that the theory is, like the Kohbergers, I don't know what they're going to be called for this case, but people are saying that they think the husband did it. They're comparing it to Chris Watts. And they're saying that he then threw her out the window and she's covering for him. I said, I've never heard of something so asinine in my whole life. I know of 0 women that are paralyzed from, well, forget it. You don't even have to be paralyzed from the waist down. I know of 0 women that are covering for their ex-husband who goes on to divorce them, get remarried, and have another child. All within 4 years or 3 years of this occurring. How many women, even if they were, let's say at first that, no, there's no way. There's a 0 chance in my head that that's possible. Now, that would just be me being emotional. Let's do what I said earlier that I learned from Daniel. Let's bring evidence in. There is not only 0 evidence to say that he did anything. The one evidence or physical evidence people are using is the fact that his fingerprints were on the elastic bands. The fingerprints were on the elastic bands because when he found his children in that compromising position, the first thing he did was take the bands off their neck like anybody else would do, I assume, right? So that's why his fingerprints are on there. And then as far as the time, it doesn't even make sense. They literally showed in the courtroom the video of him walking into CVS. They show him calling her. Well, he's making a phone call. We know from the phone carrier it was to Lindsay. She doesn't answer. He calls a second time. She does answer. That call in the middle where she answers actually is one of the things that rubs me the wrong way. I don't like that whole thing. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that it was during it? Because I think the prosecution's trying to allude to the fact that that was like in the middle of it. And this is the thing. So they not only have him in the CVS, but they also showed the video of him going into, 3V? To go pick up the dinner. Right? How? This is the thing, Alexa. So I'm glad you said that. Alexa says, but she's not even disputing that she did it. Why are people making stuff up like this is fan fiction happening? I not only agree with that, but I thought about it just now. I just showed you guys a video of, what does it say if you're defending BK? So I would argue that the same argument goes in this case. What does it say about the person who is trying to throw Patrick under the bus and, in my opinion, re-victimize a victim, right? Like, talk about re-traumatizing someone. Could you imagine that this happening, God forbid, but then on top of it to get blamed for it, or for people to put rumor out there that you could have been the one that did it and that you threw your ex out the window and was going to blame her? What? Like, I couldn't imagine how horrifying that must feel for him, and I'm sure he's heard it. Now, are there things that make me uncomfortable with this case? Absolutely. I actually, before I go to bed tonight, should set up a live for Just Jamie's channel, or what was it called, YouTube Bad Actors? Jamie Unscripted. And I think I just need to set something up over there and just talk like a regular female who is watching, and not so much as Dr. Vona, because if I'm putting on just my Jamie hat, just to give you a little preview of what I would discuss over there are some things that make me uncomfortable. For example, I don't think he did enough why he was why they were married. I don't. But I didn't like when he went to the psychiatrist with her or the nurse practitioner, and she suggests that she possibly is having having mania, and he was like, my wife is not bipolar. Like, what? So for me, I would want to know, and I wish, see, this is the thing, I believe that was with the nurse practitioner, so maybe she wasn't trained in this particularly per se, but I would have loved for her to be like why? Like, what does a bipolar diagnosis say about you, or what is it that you've been taught about a bipolar diagnosis that scares you that much that you're not even, I mean, from what they said on Stan, he wasn't entertaining bipolar diagnosis at all. I'm wondering, and I don't even know that they were asked properly, but I'm wondering, did any of the other providers ever suggest bipolar, and maybe it got shot down? Because I know a few times Lindsay said that she wasn't in like mania and stuff like that. But how do we know at home? Like, what if they've had that conversation at home and he told her at home, like, you're not bipolar or whatever? I do know from testifying, not me testifying, him testifying, that he did say or I don't know if it was in his testimony or one of the psychiatrists, but they said when they spoke to him that he said that he thought that she might be seeking meds because a lot of her friends were on them. Think about that, you guys. That was like a second blow. Like, there were quite a few blows. That was a huge blow to me. If I'm suffering and my husband is like, no, you're not bipolar, like, the only reason you would tell somebody, like, no, my wife is not bipolar or something like that, like, would be as if you have a negative connotation about the disorder. I don't know if he's experienced it in some way. I don't know if he has a preconceived notion about it in some sense in his head that it means something. I don't know. But clearly he didn't want to hear it. And I wonder, what were their conversations at home? Did any of that seep into her thought process? We also know from the testimony that one of the doctors says that Lindsay said she was scared of developing dependency and addiction to the pills. And then another one says that she said it was him that was scared that she would get addicted and dependent on the pills. So, like, which one was it? Could it have been both? Could they have both been worried? Sure. But, what role did he play in voicing his concerns to her? And how did she interpret that as it relates to her marriage and family, right? I wonder, could any of her mental illness, could he have checked out at all, right? Whether willingly or not, because sometimes people, check out and don't realize they're checking out. And this is why I want to leave this for the other channel, because I feel like I can be more opinionated there. But when we do talk about it over there, I'm sure, have a lot of passion. I feel some kind of way about this. I don't know if any of you caught it, but I also feel some kind of way about the fact that the prosecutor, other than those ugly bows that I want to rip out of her head, I can't believe I just said that on this channel. I do apologize. I don't mean that. That is not very nice. I wouldn't do anything anyway, but the thought crosses my mind that I wish somebody would walk by and just pull the bow and, like, at least make it undo the bow part. I don't know. It gets me so mad. But again, on the other channel, I want to talk about, like, so what does that say about me? What about her wearing a bow triggers me, right? So there's clearly something in my past that gets triggered when I see the prosecutor putting this bow on. And I think, because I've tried to reflect on this already a little bit, I think it has something to do with the fact that it was clear, she made clear, or someone made clear, but we know that Cora, the daughter, had a love of bows. So is she doing this to honor Cora, or is that what she's saying? Because what I see is, that's mean. Like, what are you doing? That is so bully mean girl to me. And again, they're the things you're going to hear on the other channel. I think it's disgusting, Alexa. Look, I know that Cora loved bows and that she deserves to have a voice and she deserves to be represented, but I feel like there's a time and a place for everything. And in this case, I feel like, and this is just my opinion, this isn't based on anything psychological, nothing, this is just my opinion. In my opinion, and maybe I put myself in Lindsay's shoes, I feel like this further tortures, like if Lindsay really is feeling tortured, like he said, like this is sucking the soul out of this woman, if that's what's really happening, and we've seen evidence of her breaking down, which I definitely need to go over with you guys, there was a whole day, and tell me I didn't want to kick myself that I was going to take my daughters, we were going to go, and we were going to try to get into the trial, and the three of us, like me and Ava especially, were listening to it all day that day, and I was like, of course, the one day I wish I was there. It was the day with all of the testimony from different psychiatrists. It was and it was a testimony my daughter Ava wanted to see because it was all the autopsy stuff, and she just got done doing all that internship. And then the whole thing with her breaking down, I was like, what the frig? Like, but whatever. I mean, you know, I would have just liked to see like how everybody reacted during these times, even how the prosecutor looked, because if it's true, you guys, that prosecutor said can like shut her up. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but apparently there was a Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Yep, that's what they call it. Yep, that's so funny. Oh, that's fun. When she said about the unicorn. Oh, Alexa. Oh my God. Wow. That's crazy. Oh my God. That just made... So Alexa just said... Wait, where'd you say it? Someone said the DA wears a bow for Cora, which makes me feel like she's rubbing it in Lindsay's face. Exactly, she is, says YouTube. That's how I feel. Harlot says, when she asked Patrick if they could get takeout because she didn't have time, and he responded something like, did Kellen take a nap? Which in my opinion sounds like, why didn't you have time? Oh my God, I missed that. If that is like paraphrasing, if that's what happened, 1,000% that's how I would have read it. I would have been like, you. Oh, see, that wouldn't have flown with me. You heard it, Case? Wow. And then Alexa says, she also talks about unicorns, which Cora loved. I think it's sick. I totally, Alexa, I don't know why I didn't connect the two, but do you remember they said something about like when the defense said, could that have been a coloring page of a unicorn or whatever, which obviously would have been for the daughter to color, which would be because the daughter loved unicorns, but I don't know why I didn't then connect it when the prosecutor says to the witness on the stand about if you see unicorns. I thought that was fucked up, and let me tell you why. And again, this is the shit that's going to be on the other channel more, and I could get into it more over there, I feel like. But I think that that was messed up because people that have hallucinations and delusions, especially auditory and visual hallucinations, I've never, in all of the years that I've been doing this, have ever heard of a delusion, or I mean a hallucination, auditory or visual, that someone said was giving them positive feedback. Never. Look it up. If you look up auditory look up auditory hallucinations, Anderson Cooper does a video. It's so good. I show it in my psychology class. And it was made by people who have auditory and visual hallucinations, and they made like a simulation so that you could see. He was trying to understand what it would be like to live with schizophrenia, where you're having, like, for somebody who has active, I think it was auditory hallucinations is what the guy had, that he was trying to emulate to see what it might be like to have a day in the life of this guy. You guys, he made it less than an hour. I've never seen Anderson Cooper he was so frustrated. They had him like try to make a paper mache airplane type thing, and it was very simple steps, but because he was wearing these headphones that had and again, the app or whatever he was using was made by people who experience this, so it was literally what they report hearing, and a lot of it is like whispers. A lot of it's just whispers in your head. But imagine doing stuff all day, you just had whispers in your head, and at the same time you also had somebody talking like this, and you have whispers. But everything's the same volume, but it still could be whispers, or it could be that, but it's almost always negative. You're a loser. Of course you couldn't do it. Look, she can't do it. You can't do it. You can't put that paper mache together. You're stupid. You're an idiot. You're dumb. You can't do it. It's never, oh, look at the unicorn. So when that prosecutor said that, after rewinding it, was like, I'll save what I was like for the other channel. How about that? Let's see what you guys are saying. I don't get why the judge is allowing so much of it, especially Harlot, because, and from what I hear, this just happened like during this case, but allegedly one of his cases was overturned on appeal because he didn't allow something in the case. I don't know exactly what, I think it was a witness or something, but he wouldn't allow something, so it was overturned. And so I watched The Lawyer You Know. If you guys don't know who that is, you need to look him up. He's awesome, he's handsome, he's so good to look at, but he's so smart, and he's just like, I just learn a lot from his channel, and he goes over like the law part. Like, he's what I would imagine Travis would do if Travis had a podcast. Hold on, let me let the dog in 1 second. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Hi, Thurboy. So, this is the thing. Tori, you want to come up? No? Okay. So, back to Lindsay real quick. So, you guys, I feel like you know what I'm talking about. Let me see what you're saying. Oh, that's me too, Case. That she gets overstimulated by... Casey, that is so me. I can totally get overstimulated on one sense, and then on another sense have 45 things open at once. I could be like decoding a jailhouse call while having something else on in the background, like, I don't know, Jersey Shore Family Vacation, and then Thorsty's in the background, and Gianna's singing on the top of her lungs. And so all of those things could be happening, and I could be totally fine and efficient 1 minute, and then on a different day, a different time, one little thing can be overstimulating. It's so funny. Yes, listen to Thorsty. Yes, you always love the way he holds her hand. Who holds hands? I love that. On August 6, 2026, the SJC overturned Sanders' murder convictions, ruling that Sullivan committed prejudicial error by excluding psychiatric records that were critical to her insanity defense. What? Wait, what? Oh, when Red, oh, I love him. You guys, I feel like he is so invested that even if they didn't have a dollar more to give him, I feel like he would still, like, he would still defend her. Like, I feel like he's in this for more than just money type thing. Like, I feel his, like, passion when he's on there. And I think he is so effective. He is amazing. And how often do we come on these YouTube streets and talk shit on the attorneys? Like, let's just be real. It's easy to do in hindsight. Or when you see the prosecutor wearing a bow and you're like, why are you torturing this woman's life? Stuff like that. And we don't very often get an attorney that we're like, oh, well, he was good or she was good and I really like him. Does he have a team or is it just him? Birdie, it's just him. Now, the lawyer you know, and again, do you guys watch The Lawyer You Know? His dad also, he'll have his dad on sometimes, and his dad's a lawyer too. I love him. But he goes over this really good, and he said that even if he has like a small team of people that help him, like maybe back at the office or whatever, he said sometimes, especially the older guys, like his dad will come on, and his dad apparently is very much like an attorney like Red is. He said like he identifies with him a lot, like a lot of the things he does. But they said that one of the reasons you might do that is to make it look like to a jury that you're by yourself, where like you have the two women on the other side, and I believe there's like one or two other people sitting, not at the table, but it's like I feel like they have, I could be wrong, but I feel like I've seen a paralegal thing where you see nobody at the table on the other side but him and Lindsay. And Lawyer You Know was saying that that could just be, or it could be very done purposefully to make it look like, you know, it's just me. I'm doing all of this type thing on my own. I think our mental health system needs to really figure out, figure out how hormones and these psych drugs can interact in bad ways. Okay, so you two bad actors, I agree with you 100%. At the same time, I get scared because what does that mean for women and the law? Why? Like, there's no laws in the books that have anything to do with penises or testicles. None. Zero. There's zero laws in the book that have anything to do with men's health. But there are things on the book for women's health. So my fear is, if we talk about hormones and how hormones can interfere, we have to do so, in my opinion, in a way that doesn't create a legal backing, if you, just for lack of a better term, to enact legislation of some sort to further, I mean, I could just be completely paranoid in that sense there. But I do genuinely think that we need to, in this country, whether, you know, legally or not, we need to come up with a better justice system. Because right now it's just a punishment thing, right? Like, are we really rehabbing everybody? I'm sure there's places that do a good job or a better job than others. But, you know, I just think we need to think about mental health differently as a whole too. So I agree with you too, 100%. We need to figure out a lot of things, like how to just immediately throw dangerous psych meds at people. Harlot, not just that. Yes, Peter and his dad. I love them. Peter Tragos, yes. His son sits in the robot. Oh, is that his son? I didn't realize. You know what my best friend pointed out that I was like, good point? She's like, Jane, how does one woman get 5 different benzos? Like, I could name, me and her were naming, like, we named a few people in the car that that I know could benefit from anxiety meds, and they can't get them because their doctors around here won't give them to you type thing. So, like, how is there even a place where so many benzos were written so closely together. You know what I mean? And how to not immediately throw them at people. Now, this is the other thing. I think, and this is just my opinion, but I think that they should have pushed back a little bit on her when she was with her fears about being dependent. Let me tell you why. I think that there's a difference between, and we've talked about this, about being dependent and being addicted, right? I think that sometimes, especially in the situation she was in, I think that she was, if she was using them as prescribed, which we have no reason to believe she wasn't, that they should have done a better job of letting her feel more comfortable about taking them in the short term. And again, is there the chance of addiction? Sure, but when we're dealing with psychosis in that moment, I'm not a medical doctor, so I have no business speaking on this. I'm saying, in my own opinion, I feel like we have to weigh the pros and cons there. Like, do we, and I don't think we should be throwing these medicines at people, so I agree with you there. In her case, I didn't hate on it as much, because I feel like, other than giving her medicine for anxiety that was more fast acting, she might not have gotten any relief. And my thing was, she does get some relief with that. What was it, the Klonopin or the Ativan? One of them, or the Valium? Which one was it? Ativan, I want to say. She gets relief with Ativan, and the very day she tells Dr. Tufts that she felt a little bit better on it, the first thing the doctor does is makes a plan to discontinue it. Because of fear of dependency and stuff. But then tells her late, I just felt like she gave her she gave her mixed messages. I got mixed messages on whether she wanted to take it or not. And then with Tufts too, the fact that, in my opinion, if Tufts, I agree, Alexa, if Tufts anywhere wrote, this is the thing, I'm on YouTube where we have freedom of speech. None of you are my patient. I see none of you in a clinical manner. I'm not giving any of you a diagnosis. I'm not giving you medication, none of that. And I'm still so cautious to be like, I'm not diagnosing online. You know what I mean? And so I know that if Tufts marketed herself as an expert in women's issues revolving post-traumatic, I said post-traumatic stress, oh my gosh, involving postpartum, even if she was interested in that, if there's anything, and I don't know the wording, I don't know if we saw it yet, but I feel like the prosecution would have showed us if it wasn't there. Don't you guys feel like, because Red made it look like she put herself out there as an expert, and that's why Lindsay ended up on her name, that's how she got that recommendation, and that if she in any way made herself look like she was an expert or that she specialized in that area, she might be in trouble, because we also found out that she became board certified. I think it was the very first day she saw Lindsay in treatment. So how much of an expert can we be? Even if you did a 4-year residency under somebody else. I don't know. What do you guys think? Oh, to see him wrap his arms around her? What about when he said to Tufts, he's like, so you didn't see her in person, so you couldn't give her a hug? I was dying. I'm like, meanwhile, that is so unethical in the psychology realm, to give somebody a hug. Now, it's not that you can never do that, but you have to worry about things like transference and counter-transference and stuff like that. So you wouldn't do that? So when he said that, I was like, why isn't she just saying, it doesn't matter, we wouldn't do that anyway, and she eventually does. You guys, how cute is this? My daughters bought Ryan my husband, an all black Awala. I don't know. He's always using one of their old water bottles for work, but we all like pink. So yeah, he'll have like a hot pink water bottle, and he's a union iron worker. So the girls went out and they got him like an all black Awala. I was like, that was so cute. So I'm like, where's my Awala, bitches? I never said that. I would be lying if I didn't say I didn't think about it for a minute. Like, hey, Matt, I gave birth to you. Like, where's that rationale? Anyway, thank God I said nothing, because not only did they get me a pink Awala, they then had it shipped to Pinterest or one of the people or Etsy. I said Pinterest. I meant Etsy. And look how cute that is. Dr. Vona approved. But wait, Gianna changed my signature. I was like, what? I was like, that's so cute. And I'm looking and I'm like, Andy, that's not how I write my name, is it? And I was laughing. I'm like, all right. She said that the signature, that it was a little too, like thin. She had to make it thicker. I was like, oh my God. But they're so cute, aren't they? So I misunderstood what they were saying, and I thought they said I had to name it. Here they were talking about a human being, like a kid or somebody having a kid, and they were like, yeah, and then they have to name. I don't know what they were saying, but they weren't talking to me, and so I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, I have to name my Awala? Like, I'm such a dummy. So I was like, oh my God, because I've read the side and it says Awala. Oh wait, where's that? There it goes. And I named it Uchiwali. I think I told you guys that part before. But there you go. So there goes my Awala story. Can you get that done on the website too? Oh, she went to Etsy and I guess looked at somebody that like does these things. You guys, on my list of things that I want is, what's it called? A cricket or a circuit or a cricket or something. The thing where you hit print and it cuts it all out. Because you see this, I made this all by myself, but I had to use an X-Acto knife. Do you guys remember the X-Acto knives? I had to print it out and then use an X-Acto knife and then peel it off. It's a whole thing. I have a bunch of them made though. I need to send them out to my mods. I've been saying it forever, but they're done. They're right there and they're in the package. I literally have to put your addresses on them and send them out. I just don't have all of your addresses, and the ones that I did get, I got so far back that I tried to look for them the one day and got sidetracked it like 4 different times. So I'm like, I just need to ask for your addresses again. Hey Max, is this a BK discussion? First time watcher, Max. We've been on for almost 3 hours and we're about to hang up. If you, when we are done, if you scroll back, the entire live up until about 15 minutes ago or so was all about BK. So if you go back though, if you're interested in the psych stuff that came out within the 7 pages that were just dropped, you're going to love the live. Just scroll back a little bit. I hope that you stay and subscribe and that you like the channel. We're a bunch of fun people over here, so hopefully you'll stick around. But you guys, with that note, I think I am going to end the live. We've been on forever, and it's getting late. It's 3:35. What the frig? So let me just wrap this up. If you know Cuff You, especially if you're on Discord, can we all just make a little, and I'll do the same thing for you guys, I promise, if we ever come to a case where, and if any of you, like, put it out there, because we don't even know. This is the thing. If for some reason Cuff You's just busy with her grandchildren and she's not feeling some kind of way about the whole thing with the Lindsay Clancy trial, she'll still feel an abundance of love either way. But I do think, knowing that she does feel a little bit different, that she must feel, it must feel a little bit, I don't know how I know that one day that I thought I was on a separate island of everybody else, I was like nervous to even say anything. So let's just show Cuff You some love and let her know that it doesn't matter what her view is, that we can discuss it here. I would love to have her talk about it too, because I want to talk to her about those things about you have to be diagnosed with conduct disorder before 15 and that there's nobody other. I want to see what her point of view is, because it keeps me, like I said, less biased when looking at the evidence. So I encourage people that don't agree with me, as long as we can all be respectful to each other, I'm open to hearing your point of view. Go ahead and tell them, aren't I? Glenn will tell you. Just let her know she is missed. I will do it. Yes, just let her know she's missed. We love her. If she doesn't agree with everything, that's okay. She's so valuable. Exactly. And I hope that she's watching this right now, or listening right now, and just whatever, because so that she knows how loved she is. She's very loved, adored, and appreciated, just like all of you are. And you guys were talking about the case yesterday. I told her she shouldn't have to worry about hurting anyone's feelings every time she states her opinion. See, that's what makes me think that that is part of this, is that there's more than one of us that we're feeling that. So like I said, even if today she wasn't here because she's with her grandkids or something, either way, we do know that she feels that, you know, she could feel, how do I say that? I'm trying to say she feels that she feels different than other people, but I'm trying to come up with another word so that I don't use feels twice, but I think you guys know what I mean. She senses, that's the word I'm looking for. She senses that there's different feelings there about the case, and that's okay. Like I've said to her before, and I'll say to all of you, I hope that over this past year, we've built such a tight bond, especially with that core group of people that, and you all know who you are. And if you're somebody out there that isn't part of that bond and you want to be, come join us over at Discord. It's open to everyone. And just show up over there and be there for other people, and we'll be there for you when you need it. That's literally what it is. Every time I'm on there, somebody needs some, not every time, but I'm saying, like I should have said, every time somebody needs support on there, I notice it's not always like the same person. Like, it's me sometimes. It's all the, and everybody on there rallies around whoever it is, reminds them how loved and, how needed they are and how much we love them. And I'll do the same for you guys, I promise. But on that note, thank you to my mods. I appreciate you. Thank you to you two bad actors for becoming a part of the Minds Behind True Crime. And Jenny is a member now to Minds Behind True Crime. So thank you both for joining. There is nothing more that I enjoy than seeing a new member, which is just so funny, because you would think like $1.99 for a membership or like a $5 super chat. I get so excited over the membership. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's more symbolism behind it. So it's like, less than half the price, and it just makes my heart excited, because it just makes me feel like that's you saying that you want to be a part of this bigger thing. And if anybody out there like is dying to be a part of this group, and for some reason you couldn't come up with $1.99, let me know and I'll figure it out for you. I'll Venmo you, we'll do something. Thank you, Casey. I appreciate you. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Harlot, thank you so much. I love that happy poop. I don't know what it is. I appreciate you. Thank you. You're my first membership with my new fixed income card. Shut up, YouTube. I feel so special. Well, hopefully, YouTube, I don't know, but hopefully your first month was free. Did anybody see that? If your first month, I don't know if it's like just a thing, if they did this, like, I don't know, but all I know is that I went to join something the other day and the first month was free. So I was like, is this just like on their channel? I was like, how do I offer that on my channel? And then I was looking around and I went into one of my university. No, it's a renewal for you. Oh, that's right. Anybody else though, I don't know if it's like if they always do this, but I think if you join somebody's thing, they give you the first month for free. Casey, you said a laughing disco? Case, that's so cute. Case. Thank you. Oh my God, what is that? You said 2? Casey, wow. Thank you. I appreciate you, Queen. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. And I will see you all over at Discord. Not at Discord, on Discord. And look out for, if you're not already subscribed and you want to hear my rant, because I'm coming with a rant. If you want to hear me talk, because I'm not doing a dual live, I don't want to be associated with this channel when I do that. You know what I mean? Oh my God, Gray Hughes tells people to keep their pennies with jewels. No, he doesn't. I'm not surprised. Wow. Wendy said she learned a great deal tonight. That just made me feel so good. You guys know that that's like the key to my heart. Wow. I'm going to have to watch. I haven't watched him forever. That's unbelievable. I don't know how he still gets people to do that. Wait, they have a beach dog for 2.5 million jewels. What would that be? Does anybody know? Each jewel coin is a penny. Oh, is it? Is that how it works? Yeah, he's always yelling at people. His views have gone down to almost nada. It's because of the money thing. There's been times where I've watched his show, like a long time ago, where I was excited, even though I didn't always have it, because he would show that at the end of the month, he would go and donate it, and he would come with receipts or whatever, and he would show what he donated. I always, even if I didn't have it, I would be like, you know what? This person, it would make me feel so good that I was part of that at the end of the month, that I was able to figure it out, whatever. But then it just kept going and going and going and going, and it got more and eventually, you're right, I just stopped watching, and I didn't even do that on purpose. I just stopped watching. Oh, Casey begs the entire time. I think it's 2.5 billion. What? Oh my God. Oh my goodness, is that video real? What video? Thumbs up, I was dying. He wouldn't get nearly as much money without the whole charity pitch. Which is exactly why I gave him money. Without the charity pitch, there'd be no reason to give it, right? Why would... But the fact that he would show, and he does, he has a good heart. The thing is, he'll literally tell you, and it is true, you guys, I mean, not for nothing. If somebody comes up on here and we have something prepared and stuff, it does take a lot of time. So I do get, I think the one time, not I think, I know he did, you go back and watch, he probably does it often, but he did, where it was, he, figured out how much that would have been, an hour type thing, and how he had to make a video to, offset the funds because he didn't make it as much the night before, and, it was just a whole thing. And I don't understand how the same people that go back every night have the money to donate all the time. I just don't understand. I'm I wish I had if I could donate every day, I would, but I'm it's the same people, it has to be. There's no way he's getting new people and then they leave. What? Yeah, that is the most expensive little jewel dog in the world. Does anybody know how much it would be in real people? 250 million? Wow. I do think he's a damaged person in ways. So do I. I felt bad for him, and I had to realize that I would never be able to change him. He has potential to be great. Serious? That is so well said. He has a couple of major supporters. Oh, wow. Oh my God, I give up. I'm a data scientist. Oh. Are you, Max? I'm all about the data stuff. I'm a researcher. That's a lot of jewels. You have me intrigued, Max. Max, you have to go join our Discord. Before we hang up, does anybody have the Discord link we could throw in there for Max or anybody else that isn't joined that wants to be? And you don't have to like pay, you just join. And if you're not into Discord, neither were any of us. Not any of us, I'm being dramatic when I say that, but like so many of us were like, Discord, what the frig? And we're all in Discord now, so we figured it out. Serious. Just in case he has been commenting on my latest video. Very insulting, I pinned it. Oh, YouTube ad actors. I'm gonna have to go over there and look at your stuff. You're funny. That's funny. It takes a lot to make a video, too. I love that. I'm gonna have to give a comment. Alright, you guys. I love you guys. I'm gonna go. I said it 12 times, but I'm Italian and we tend to say goodbye for 45 minutes. But I'm going to say goodbye now, for real. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Again, thank you. Serious, you need to do, I mean, this is the thing. I feel bad saying this, but Casey, Harlot, Serious, Truth, Cuff, you guys need to, oh look, Squirrel, there's only a few of you. I think I just named all of you. You need to send me somewhere that I could send you your t-shirt. And remind me your size again. I feel like everybody wanted like a quadruple XL. I'm like, meanwhile, some of you bitches are like 100 pounds. Like, what are you talking about? What's happening? But anyway, I made all the shirts. I just need to send them. So if you guys want to DM me, text me, most of you have my cell phone. If not all, like, just let me know where I can send it. I love you guys. And don't forget, look out for, what is it again, YouTube? Jamie Unscripted. I will quickly get my link and put it in the chat. That's the least I could do, because I don't even know what the hell it's called, but I want you guys to come to it. But I will, this is what I'll do too. I will make sure that when I make the thumbnail that I post it in Discord, but I'll also post it on this channel's posts, or whatever you call them, and then that way people will know. But again, I don't want to dual stream with this, because then I'm going to feel like, just like I did with the other 2 or 3 that I dual streamed, I'm going to feel like I have to be Dr. Vona, where I just want to separate it, and I want to do the other channel where I could just be me. So on that other channel, I'm going to be the Italian from South Philly. Well, Philadelphia. I'm from all the Philly now. I'm from all of the Philly. But, you know, I said the Italian from South Philly because I'm so used to South Philly mayor, which is another thing people have been requesting that I go back to. I'm like, there's just too many things. And my school's starting up soon. So, yeah, there's just a lot going on. I have to make 6 core shells, which isn't easy. But I'll figure it out. I have ADHD. I'll get it done. Alright, you guys. I love you all so very much. And I don't... Oh, Harlot. You're the best. I was like, I can't even get to it. It's just not letting me. But Harlot put it up there. So, thank you, Harlot. You guys, please, now you have the link to Discord, and you have the link to the other channel. Go subscribe so that you get the notification. I might even call it, like, Talking Shit with Jamie. Who knows, the first episode. We'll see what happens. But don't miss it, because I'm going to get into the other thing that I noticed that I just want to tell you real quick so that I don't forget it when we talk about it the next time we talk. Did anybody notice that when Patrick Clancy was testifying and he said that he had left the kids home a few times alone with her because he goes on a lot of guy trips? One, what? My husband does not go to brunch. Yeah, the summer flew by way too quick. My husband don't go to brunch. He don't go to guy trips. I mean, I'm not saying I'd be opposed to it, but it's just brunch. Max, do you go to brunch? Max, tell us, Max, my data scientist. Do you go to brunch? What guy goes to brunch? What girl goes? Who goes to brunch? Maybe it's just in Philadelphia. We don't have brunch. What the fuck's brunch? He goes to brunch. I tagged you in the Philly Horror House case on Discord on Thursday. Check it out. Thank you for telling me that. I am going to check that out. You put South Philly Mary out there. That's hysterical. Ha. I'm dying. I'm going to brunch, says Birdie. I really left out not to do... Oh, I really feel left out not doing the Discord. Ella, so this is the thing. I don't do the Discord thing either. However, I am on my channel, right? I literally, when I open my Discord, you could have it set up to where you literally just go to that one thing, and it takes me right to the general chat. I noticed, and this is, I'm literally not making like a joke or anything. I genuinely, when I don't just post in the regular John, I wind up messing something up. So I just go to the one thing, which is how I miss some of your DMs. So thank you for telling me if you tag me or, but that's what I mean. So Ella, you could go there, and essentially just go for the general chat type thing, and that's it. You don't have to do anything else on there. And that way you just have access to everybody, so that if there is 5 days that go by and, you know, for whatever reason I couldn't come on, we at least could all go there. And, you know, like Casey said, she talked to Cuffy yesterday, so like we know that because we all, so don't feel left out, just come join us. I know you don't want to do it. I didn't either. Cuffy, you talked me into it, and I'm so glad I let her. I talked Truth into it. Truth was like, bitch, I am not doing Discord. And guess who's on Discord? Guess who likes Discord? Okay? Bottomless brunch messes up for the rest of the day. I go back to sleep. I would too. Bottomless brunch? What in the hell? I want brunch. Oh, that Philly case, I'm going to check that out. That's going to be my night thing that I'm going to watch when I go to bed. And the Gypsy Rose things, I can't. I'm like hooked on listening to them. I don't know why. It's probably not even good. But the only reason I'm really listening to it is because it really gives you guys. I would have went hard on the fact that she was the victim of like Munchausen by proxy or factitious disorder imposed on another person. Except for the more evidence that comes out, the more I'm like, oh my god. Like, admittingly herself is like, yeah, sometimes, you know, my mom, she tells us, and I'll really hang up after this, I promise. You could tell I haven't been on in a minute, and that my best friend talks so much that I was the listener for the past 4 days, and she did all the talking. And yeah, did I talk about BTK's daughter yet? No, why? What happened? What happened? What do you mean? What did she do? I don't drink either. I don't either. What about her? Now I need to know. Oh, mimosas? Is that what they have at the brunch? I need to do brunch. Where do you find brunch at? Who has brunch? What the fuck do you eat at brunch? What do you eat? A sandwich and eggs? Like, what do you eat? Stop it. Serious. What? I am going to Google that. What? Wow. Yeah, brunch does sound like a rich people thing, which is probably why I've never had it. Yeah, alright, it's late, you guys. It's 4 a.m. here. I love you all. I'm going to go look up that mail. Love you guys. Look out for that live. We'll see when it'll be. If not tomorrow, I know Saturday I'm supposed to pay attention to my husband. Let's see what happens. Maybe I need to know. if not Sunday. I'm too country for brunch. We're too poor up here for brunch or something. Or we're just too cool. We're too cool for brunch where I live. That's what I'm sticking to. On that note, good night, y'all.